Welcome, that's right. It is another Sunday, and that means it is time for. Unfortunately, we had to rebrand again, but we have a new guest, Maxwell Edison, taking his medicine.
Greetings.
He's come up with a new name for this podcast. What is it?
Yeah, so today it's the Battle Manga Motorcast.
Battle Manga Motorcast, and how appropriate because
Ooh,
usually this would be a Bleach episode, but I guess most of us were kind of too lazy to read it,
That
so
Colin's not here.
yeah, and Colin's not here because he's too
He
busy
died.
being a
He died in the
normie.
war.
Oh
He's
yeah,
too
yeah.
busy being a
He's too.
simp.
his
Yeah.
girlfriend.
No, okay. We need to nip this in the butt. Okay, having a girlfriend does not make you a simp. All right.
Makes you a plebe.
Based.
Then what does that make me, Clayton? What does that make me?
A plebe.
Yeah, Clayton is
Alright.
based Volcel.
You know what? You're off the podcast. I'm gonna
Bye.
dox you.
Okay, bye. Okay, bye.
I'm gonna dox you right now. Okay,
Holy
so
shit.
anyways,
Yeah.
let's get back on track because let's just finish the intro. Fuck whatever, the fucking Clayton ruined it. I mean you already know who we all are.
Already
Uh,
cursing.
I'm a real human
Oh, I hope
being.
you do.
Stop. I mean it this time. Please stop commenting. Oh stinky. Otherwise, I will rip your brain out and ship it to Zalem. Okay.
There will be
Some-
blood.
Someone else go.
I'm sloppy. And you know me as Clayton. That's it.
Okay. My name's Orda. Feeling kind of sick this week, so I don't know if I'll be like talking as much. But
You're also
yeah,
probably playing fucking Overwatch now because I found out that that's what you do whenever we record these podcasts.
Yeah. nah.
Dude,
Nah, this-
last time you
nah,
recorded,
this-
like I tried to play with him, and then he wouldn't get on, and he was like, "Oh no, I have to record." And then when he got on the recording, he started playing.
That's fucked up.
No, I'm just browsing through looking at like Undead Unluck fan art right now.
Okay. Oh yeah,
No.
you were posting some of it. It did look really nice. Okay, and then
Yeah.
you want to say anything else, Maxwell, about yourself?
Oh yeah, sure. I'm Maxwell. I'm the resident Dorohedoro poster.
Yeah, and
The only reason I haven't been on is because I've fully caught up to Bleach, and I don't want to spoil anything.
So anyone reading right now, I'm gonna
You-
go and chill this now. Read Die Dark. Alright,
Matt-
Yes,
that's it.
read Die Dark. I'm gonna shill Die Dark. Support Q Hayashida.
Maxwell, you've been into Dorohedoro for a while, huh?
Yeah, gosh, I think I read it. I think I finished it maybe like
You're fucking Reddit, alright?
3 or 4 months ago. It was like,
How does it make you feel that like people actually know what Dorohedoro is now?
it's like a blessing and a curse
That's everything.
because
It's like JoJo.
Why are you
Yeah.
acting like that? You started reading that shit like when the anime was airing. It's still
yeah,
not
I,
that impressive.
the thing was I didn't even look at the anime though because I get all my recommendations from Chris K. Rick, and Chris is like he's just like a
He's
fun-
He's Australian. He's
Oh,
Australian. That's all you need to know.
No,
Let
okay,
me chill
no,
my
you know what?
based
No,
Ozzy,
no,
bro.
no, fuck you, Maxwell. I thought you were different. I've been reading Dorohedoro fucking longer than you have. Then,
You have?
yeah, dude, I've
Have
been
you,
reading it
did you
since like.
finish it?
No, I kind of shelved it so I could focus on.
What the fuck?
I was focused on other series.
No
but-
respect. No
No,
respect.
I read up to like volume like 8 or something.
I don't know what's happening in
Um,
volumes, dude.
It's whatever. It's a good series, and
It's great.
no, you know, I'm gonna be honest. One of the reasons why I kind of stopped reading was because I found out about the anime, and I was like, God, when this anime comes out, it's gonna be like a fucking disaster of
Nope.
a fandom.
No.
And then
Nope, it
nope,
wasn't.
because people didn't like the anime. So
So this, I think I was talking to you like off cast about this, but like I think the best anime that can come from a manga is like an incredibly mid anime because it gatekeeps, like it
Yeah.
filters people, but the people who like have a deep love for the franchise still get something. Like Dorohedoro, it's hideous, right? It's like disgusting CGI, so it totally turns away like plebs.
yeah.
But like hardcore fans are like, oh yeah, like I don't really care. This is still super cool.
I was actually introduced to Dorohedoro by a good friend of mine who I don't know how he heard of it, but this was back in like 2016, I want to say 2017. And it's a funny story. So he wanted to cosplay from Dorohedoro. I don't even need to say his name because like it's the one character everyone wants to cosplay. All right, fine, it's Shin. Yeah, it's Shin. So he wanted to cosplay Shin, and he commissioned the mask to be made, and the mask took like it took literally like 3 years, I think, for that mask to get finished. And then when he put
Oh
it
my
on,
God.
it like ripped.
Oh,
and it costs like $200.
poor guy.
So yeah, that's a whole story. But this isn't the Dorohedoro episode. We got completely sidetracked. This is
Yeah, my
um
bad.
yeah. So as I was saying, we're not talking about Bleach, and we were like, okay, what are we gonna talk about? And I thought it'd be there's too many things lining up that I really wanted to do a retrospective on one of in my opinion the greatest series of all time, Battle Angel Alita. There's a lot of reasons
Yeah.
why I want to talk about it. So number one, uh, a shill moment, but I was on a podcast, one of my favorite podcasts, Bad Filmcast. We review movies that are rotten on Rotten Tomatoes or have like a low score on Letterboxd. So I was on there for my third episode to do Alita Battle Angel, which is the movie based on the manga, obviously.
Yeah.
And so there was that. It's very fresh in my mind. This current week, aka the week of June 1st, is a really big week for the Alita fan base because the hashtag Alita Army actually gathered thousands of dollars, um, like weeks ago, to get a billboard on Wilshire Boulevard in Los Angeles
Yo,
promoting the need for an Alita sequel, and that's up this
yo,
entire week. So
that's tight as fuck.
yeah, and that's one reason why we did the Alita podcast on this week also for that other one. So there's that. There's also the fact that this is the 25th anniversary of Alita ending passed, and that was before we started doing this podcast. And the 30th anniversary is coming in a few months, so that's a big deal because that's fucking crazy that it's been going that long.
Yeah.
And then there's also an acknowledgement, a lot of crazy shit going on in the world, and from plagues to riots to people realizing finally that there's this oppressive force that's out of our control that's just subjugating everyone. Um,
Gamers, rise up.
that's fucking Alita. That's literally what Alita is. Alita is
Yeah.
very sympathetic to these plights that are going on in the world. The whole. I mean, actually, I was talking to
Free
Arda about
base.
this. That's he kind of realized that Final Fantasy VII was heavily inspired by Battle Angel Alita. Like
Yeah.
Midgard, its plates very similar to Iron City and Zalem,
Even
and
like Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds.
yeah.
That Yu-Gi-Oh! Series, by the way, is literally
Yeah,
just
Studio series.
hmm
it's literally just fucking Alita.
Yeah, I mean it's a deeply political, very sympathetic series, very
It's deeply
relevant.
based.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I just bought. Clayton and I actually just bought the complete original collection of Alita, the box set that was released by Kodansha Comics.
How much does
Oh,
that
yeah.
run?
Like
$100.
100.
It was $103 or so.
It's going
Look
out
at
Is it
of
on
print.
Amazon?
It's going out of
Man.
print, so get it now.
Wait, is it
Get
really
it.
going out of print?
Is it on Amazon?
Yeah, we got
I
it
don't
on
think it's
Amazon.
I don't think it's out of print. I think they just kind of like ran
getting
out of
low.
stock
Yeah,
on
I think
Amazon.
I think they're just gonna restock. There's no way it would go out of print
Yeah.
because, I mean, it's actually been selling pretty well ever since the movie.
Yeah.
So
These-
I really fucking wanna get it, though.
I learned why they how they have the omnibuses for Last Order and they never did the last one.
yeah,
So I figured out why. It's because Viz was doing the translations and they only had the omnibuses for like what was translated. So then they made the newer ones, and they said they have no plans to make another omnibus for the last 4 volumes.
yeah, I
Cool.
heard that. That's a shame. Yeah, so it's a gorgeous box set with all these
Oh yeah.
they're the whole 5 volumes each. Well, it's the original series is 9 volumes, and these omnibus just compile volumes together.
Yeah.
So it's gorgeous. They're hardcover, excellent print and paper quality. Alita has honestly never looked better than this, and this is actually I reread this series I believe for the third time to prepare for these two podcasts, and it was a really surprising reading it like this because the only other times that I read this were in like really shitty scans with like really bad
Yeah.
translations. These translations and me reading this was before the movie came out. So this was back when everyone called it Gamu and
Gunham
Alita
or whatever.
Got him.
and yeah and
Gunham.
and Alita was called Galley
Yeah.
and Zalem was called Typharis. So it was listen, fan translations were like a wild wasteland in like
Wait,
the
she's called Gally in the like in the dream sequence that Nova puts her in, right? Or did I
in
read a shitty fan translation?
oh, you're talking about the yeah, okay, she actually is called Galley. There was a really interesting workaround that the American translate. Okay, well, we're skipping to the last volume
Yeah,
here.
we're doing the last
Um,
like chapter.
Don't worry
oh,
about it.
We don't have a
so
script. It's fine.
yeah, so we should say that Maxwell, Arda, and I have finished the first series, and Clayton just started it, but he's already said he's okay with spoilers. But
No, I
yes,
don't care.
okay, you are right, Maxwell. In
Mhm.
the English translation, they do call her Galley in the fake Iron City that Nova creates in her head, and that was
Yeah, with the
just
Ouroboros.
yes, that was just a clever workaround. That was
Okay.
an interesting way of incorporating the original name because Gunham, I believe that's the
Japanese
yeah,
name or whatever.
Yeah.
I swear it was Gamu back then, but whatever. Gunham is a word on play with words, and I believe it's a combination of gun and dream in Japanese. So that obviously that doesn't really translate here, so they change it to
They
Alita, and
smushed it together.
yeah, I believe Alita means like little wing, and honestly, I think it's a much better title, and
Yeah.
I'm pretty grateful that it's pretty much stuck, even in
Mhm.
Japan. People refer to Gunham as Alita a lot now.
Not to get sidetracked, but let's go over. We didn't really go over how all of us were introduced to Alita. I'm a little
Oh, okay.
plebeian. I'm a little plebeian, and I was introduced to the
Oh
amazing,
no,
the
no,
outstanding movie.
it's totally valid to be into it because of
Yeah.
the movie. Because honestly, Alita was never popular in America. It's such a shame. There actually was an OVA. There was only 2 episodes,
Oh,
and
seriously?
It was pretty
yeah,
good.
it's
Oh, I
pretty
gotta
good.
watch that.
Surprisingly,
Um,
oh, okay, this might actually explain something. So Maxwell, before I say anything else, I want you to say what you told me, what you thought about the movie that you just watched for Alita.
Oh, what did I have mixed feelings on it?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, yeah, I have mixed feelings on it. We'll probably get into that more when we like fully
Okay,
discuss the
but
film.
I
But
wanted to bring that up because the movie is actually pretty heavily based on the OVA.
Mhm.
Yeah.
A lot of the characters that are in the movie that weren't in the manga are from the OVA. So that
well, like
Yeah.
includes
Chiron.
yeah, Cheren is from the OVA,
Okay.
Grishka is from the OVA.
Mhm.
So maybe if you
A
watch
lot
the
of the
OVA, you kind of understand a little bit like kind of
Yeah, okay.
what
a
the
lot of
movie.
the stuff that happens with Hugo is from the OVA.
Hmm.
I thought Grishko's kind of supposed to be like a
Well,
redo of like the
yeah,
first person that Alita
yeah, no,
fights with his name
yeah,
Mana
because
something.
Makaku
Yeah, Makaku.
he wasn't in the OVA at all. It was just Grishka.
Yeah.
Um, but anyways, uh, yeah. So it was never popular in America, so it's completely valid to. Oh yeah, I wanted to say also about the OVA. So surprisingly, the OVA did get an English dub.
Hmm.
And I think it's a really good dub, but again, because it was just the time, it's Galley, it's Typharis, and
Mhm.
it can be jarring for people that don't know that history of Alita if they watch if they watch the movie and they're like, oh, I should check out the anime. And it's oh, I don't understand why it was only 2 episodes. I don't, because it's pretty well done. And there was even a PS1 game for Alita called
Oh, seriously?
yeah, it's called Gundam Martian Memory that was actually directed by the mangaka Yukito Kishiro that
Beautiful.
adapts the tuned arc in the manga. And I have not played it, but I don't know if it's good, but it's interesting that Kishiro himself was in charge of that project.
This looks
Uh,
pretty cool.
mhm.
Mm.
So I got introduced to I think honestly, let's just say we all got introduced because of the movie, right?
yeah.
But
Yeah.
Yeah.
my story's a little bit different because I was into it before the movie came out, before any news came out, besides the fact okay, so I come from like a heavy like James Cameron household. He's basically God in my family. And I was like pretty much raised on his movies, specifically True Lies, Titanic, The Abyss, Terminator. Um, surprisingly not Aliens. I didn't really get into Aliens until later, but so I was super into him, and around the time Avatar came out, so like
Oh my
2000,
God.
So like 2008 or so, I found out that Cameron is really into anime and that he's been trying to do an Alita movie since like 2000, I want to say. So pretty much like shortly after the original series ended, which is just fucking crazy to me. And yeah, so I was super interested to like see this thing that Cameron was so invested in. So Alita was actually like one of the first manga I ever actually like read. Um, and then like the movie started to get more and more traction after way after Avatar came out. They kind of had this technology now to finally realize Cameron's vision, which I just want to say I'm so glad Cameron didn't make this movie in the year 2000 because it would have been a disaster,
I
honestly.
wonder how they would have done like her huge eyes.
Yeah,
Whatever.
no,
That's one thing people get filtered by. Is just
oh,
Alita's design in
Yeah.
general.
absolutely. I mean, we'll get to the movie when we get to the
Yeah,
movie,
yeah.
but yeah, I mean, it was the right decision to wait, and it's a beautiful manga. It's a shame because the movie does adapt, I believe the worst part of the manga, which is the very beginning.
Oh,
Um,
by far, yeah. The
because
the following arcs are just so much
it's
better.
just so much better. It's just everything's so rushed in the beginning, I feel like. But yeah,
Mhm.
immediately after the first volume, I mean, the Motorball arc is just phenomenal. It has one of the greatest antagonists in manga history, Jasugan.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Incredible, so good. I mean, I don't want to like completely skip over volume one though. So like, if there's anything from that like Iron City arc, I mean, that anyone wants to talk about.
I
I mean,
want to talk actually. Well, let's get off top for a second. Volume one. When you everyone pull out your hard covers,
I've
your
got mine
hardcover.
already right here.
All right, so open it up to page well the little the foreword by Blinn Fletcher.
Mhm.
Actually writer I'm a little familiar with. He's obviously inspired by Alita if you read here. He is the writer. He wrote one of the most recent Batgirl comic runs, which is considered one of the best like what is considered the best Batgirl run in history.
Mhm.
I've read
Yeah.
it, and it is very heavily Alita inspired by
Oh, really?
he's very inspired by like the motorball section, so like
Mm.
the sports on like motorcycles, like just women, stuff like that. He writes a Ghost in the Shell spinoff. He wrote the series Motor
Oh,
Crush, which
really?
is also heavily Alita inspired, and he wrote some Black Canary and some other stuff for DC.
That's
He even wrote
interesting.
something for the Attack on Titan anthology.
Really? Oh, yeah, the Marvel one, right? Wasn't that like a Marvel thing that they did for Attack on Titan?
Yeah.
Interesting. That's cool. I didn't know that, and it's cool to see like artists inspired by other artists. And this collection, these volumes, like always end with like really interesting. Well, actually, I think it's only in volume 5 that they have like these really interesting interviews with Kishiro. And one thing that I love is so there's like a meme obviously of like referring to things as like soul or soulless, and
Yeah.
he actually refers to the movie as Soul for Alita, which
Yeah.
was awesome. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I one thing that like I really want to touch on. This is about like maybe halfway through volume one. And by the way, when I say volume one, I'm referring to the Shaw omnibuses. So those combine usually 2 volumes. So,
Yeah.
anyways, the thing that I love is Makaku's backstory.
Yeah.
It reminds me a lot of RoboCop. Like it's just very superficially, but the scene where the guy gets like melted by the acid in the finale.
There's a lot of influence from like RoboCop and like even
Oh,
Tank Girl.
absolutely.
I noticed in like
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Tank Girl is a
the
huge
art,
inspiration.
especially for Tank Girl.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Um.
I think the art takes like heavily from Tank Girl, like definitely towards like the final arc.
Yeah. Oh, Clayton. So once they leave Motor City, it becomes like straight up Mad Max.
Yeah.
But like Makaku, I mean, first of all, that whole fight is just awesome.
Yeah, the
Especially
Macaque fight's incredible.
when he comes out of his body and he's just like this weird like worm thing, which they
Yeah,
actually
it looks like a
kept.
tadpole.
Yeah, they kept
Yeah,
that in the movie, which I was so happy about because it's such a
and he's like
silly but cool design.
he says, my intelligence is like depends on like the body I have at the moment, so that's why
hmm
he's like a big idiot or whatever. Like at the
Yeah,
beginning.
Mhm.
but you get to his backstory though, and this is like I know this is like a really common trope in manga to like give the villain like this weird dark, sympathetic story, but like this really caught me off guard when I first read Alita, because
Mhm.
again, this was just something I wasn't really exposed to at that age. But yeah, you see like his story, and they refer to this slightly in the movie when Grishka says like, "Oh, these sewers, this is where I grew up,"
Yeah.
and he was actually, yeah, he was born, he basically flushed down the toilets,
Mhm.
um,
Yeah.
grew up in the
Happens to the
sewers.
best of us.
Yeah, he got assaulted by punks, and they basically like melted him. Um, and he turns into this like horrible melting like skeletal creature, and then
Yeah,
he's
they burn
actually,
his face through a sewer grate.
yeah, and then he's saved actually by Nova, um,
Mhm.
and is given this crazy new body, and it's just like, oh man, that's crazy. I mean, and it's your
That's
first.
actually
Hmm?
sorry, that's like one of the big like kind of issues. That's one of the bigger issues I have with the film is that like they barely touch on it, and like Grishka's aside from that, he's just like this base like big tough guy. Whereas you like really do
Yeah,
feel a
I
lot
mean,
for Makako because of his backstory, and then like in the film he's like so like his death is so like anticlimactic, whereas like in Alita like it's a really heavy thing because it's this whole like moral
yeah, I mean,
kind of
like,
conflict.
yeah, like I said, Grishka is from the OVA, and pretty much everything with him in the OVA is like one to one.
Mhm.
The thing with like
Yeah.
I think Cameron actually addressed this, and he said like that they used a lot of the OVA for the movie because it's pretty much the only thing that like people that knew Alita in America, like they knew it because of the OVA.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
that's why the movie relies a lot on it. But then obviously, the OVA only covers that first volume, so
Mhm.
he's really
Yeah.
looking forward to showing more of the manga itself in the sequels.
Mhm.
We don't know much about what the sequels would be. We know the next movie will a chunk of it at least will be the Morbol arc in Volume 2,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
Jai Courtney, the guy who he plays Josugun in the Alita movie, and he has like 5 seconds of screen time. Um,
Oh,
Dude.
he said that Cameron and Rodriguez told him that he would have a huge role in the sequel.
Mhm.
So obviously that means the motorball arc would be saved, because it seems like they skip it at the end of this movie, but no, it would actually like lead into that whole thing. Um,
Dude, I have such a problem with the casting for Joshua Gunn. Like
Yeah.
I think Mike
yeah,
Gordon Joshua Gunn's like one of the like three minority characters in the entire series, and they gave him to Jai Courtney. It's just like I don't know. It's so stupid. They could have picked like so many different people
The
because
Rock
like
as Josugan.
nothing works for him. Yeah, if you get the Rock a blonde wig, he would have been a great Joshua Gunn.
That would have
Yeah.
been
then
awesome.
they would have advertised the
Left,
movie as The Rock is in this movie, and he has
you
five
could have just
seconds of
left the
screen
Rock
time.
bald actually, and that would have worked. Like he would have looked great.
No, I love Josugan's white hair, which is another
Yeah.
thing that
That's what I
sucks
was
about
like
him in the
here.
movie, is he doesn't have white
Yeah.
hair. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, whatever. Actually, fun. Since you brought up like minorities, um, there's an interesting bit of trivia about the Alita movie. So the manga takes place mostly in Kansas,
Mhm.
and
Wait,
when this,
what?
yeah, you didn't
The
know?
fuck?
The bar is called Kansas, Arta.
And so,
Oh.
one thing that I love is Cameron is such a like science nerd that for the movie he said like, okay, so spoilers, Cameron is he I know he's read at least up to like, he's pretty much read all of Last Order, and he
Mhm.
Mhm.
knows like what the story is for Alita. He knows it really well. That's why actually a lot of well, not a lot, but like basically any Alita flashback of her like life on like Mars and like fighting on the moon, that's from Last Order. And actually Michelle Rodriguez's character is a Last Order character. But in Last Order, you find out that Zalem is actually not the highest city. There's another city above it that's in space, and so it's basically like the shaft from there to Zalem, and then from there to Iron City. It's basically like a space elevator. And
Mhm.
so Cameron was like, well, if there was a space elevator, in real life, it would not be in Kansas. It would be somewhere on the equator. So they changed the location in the movie to Panama.
Really?
Yeah. I just think that's really neat. Like Cameron just like he knows so much about this series, and like if you've I highly recommend looking at like interviews and like behind the scenes of him like obviously he didn't direct the movie, although it really does feel like he did. But
Yeah.
he really had his hands on it. Like actually, the reason why he hired Rob Rodriguez, first of all, he didn't direct it because he's busy with the Avatar sequels. Second of all,
Like 4 of them at once. Yeah.
yeah, and he handed Rodriguez this like 160-page script plus like 60 pages or like six, I forgot it was this is a really big difference. I forgot if it was 60 pages or 600 pages
Oh,
and of notes. And so he threw all of this at him and he was like make sense of this in like a 2-hour movie. And then
what an asshole!
and Rodriguez actually did it.
Yeah.
And Cameron was like just so impressed. He's like, you know what, you're gonna direct this.
Rodriguez is absolutely one of my
poly.
favorite directors of all time.
Oh,
he's such
he's
like just a
amazing.
pro.
But like when this movie was first coming out and like we saw the first trailer, I mean I'm sure some of you might know, but I really was not looking forward to it at first because I like number one, the fact that Cameron wasn't directing it like was a huge blow to me because I was so excited for a long time waiting like yeah, like almost like 8 years. No, more than that. Yeah, waiting to see Cameron. Um, there's that. There's also like Rodriguez and Cameron have such different styles of filmmaking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But and there's that. And then like I'm be honest, in the first trailer, the CGI was like really rough.
Yeah.
It looks much better. I will go as far as say as this might be like the most like visually in terms of CGI like visually stunning film I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Really?
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
I feel like the body models are like really good, but the like
Dude,
the big like exposition shots of like the city, I feel like they look very like dated.
no,
Dude,
there's so much like stuff going on in the background. Like,
There's a lot going on, but it's not like as polished as I thought it would be.
well, it's not so. I mean,
that-
Iron City is like very like diesel punk. I wouldn't really want it to look like really polished and pristine. I don't want it.
I think Iron City looks too polished. Like, I think the CGI doesn't look that polished, like just in terms of like technicality. But I feel like Iron City as a whole looks way too clean.
No,
It's just like I mean, it looks like Panama.
Yeah.
It looks like just some.
it's
Yeah.
yeah,
It
it's
looks
very,
like
it's like
Panama,
very
but, like-
dusty and like
Yeah.
But like, think about
It
like
looks
the
like people-
motorball
it looks
arc.
like-
Like, think about the motorball arc in the manga, where they're like looking through like a broken chain link fence, and then you go to the
Yeah, I
movie
guess
and
you
they're
could
looking
say
through
it
like
doesn't look
this
as
bright
rundown as
neon.
it should.
Thank you.
That's what
well,
you're saying.
okay, so like Motorball, I agree, but I can
I think
kind
that's a
of
sign of the times thing.
I can excuse that because if you look at like the kind of the lore of Alita and Iron City and like why Motorball is so important, it's number one, it's funded by the factory,
Mhm.
and the factory is funded by Zalem, and the whole
Yeah.
reason why Motorball exists is to basically distract the commoners from like the real problems of Iron
Yeah.
City. So like with that in mind, I can kind of understand why Motorball is like kind of more polished looking
Mhm.
compared to everything else. But anyways, so I mean a big reason why like I'm so like stunned by the visuals of this movie is also because I drove out like 50 minutes just to go to the Alita Fan Premiere event for this, which was fucking awesome. It was in IMAX 3D, which this is like one of the best looking 3D movies ever, especially like just from the opening scene, which by the way, I want to acknowledge is like 1-for-1 with the manga and the OVA.
Yeah.
It's insane. Like
When he
Ito,
like picked her up.
yeah, when he's walking through the scrapyard, he picks up the skull, takes the eyeball out, sees Alita, pulls out the scanner.
I love the shot of like the sun in the background. It's just
Yeah,
like the
it's
red shadow. Oh my god,
it
it's
is
such
just
a good shot.
gorgeous. And yeah, that was like amazing because there's just all the detail, all the scraps in the forefront and in the background. And it's actually funny. So this was at the AMC Dine-In Ontario Mills, and you can get alcohol at this AMC, and they had Alita themed drinks. It was like a gin mix.
Oh.
It was delicious, and I'll be honest, I was kind of buzzed throughout the movie, which is
Did
like
it
a big
taste like chocolates and or oranges?
no, but I have actually it did have orange in it.
Yo.
But the chocolate, I have another story about that I'll get to later. But yeah, and then they gave, it was kind of shitty though. They gave everyone that went there like a shitty looking Funko Pop keychain of Alita,
Oh,
which
question.
is such a slap in the face because there's such little Alita merchandise even in Japan.
Yeah,
It's just like
here's your
great.
Alita merchandise,
Yeah,
bro.
but because I got the alcohol, I did get an Alita keychain bottle opener, which is like sick. I love that.
Oh,
What does it have on it?
It's just like a close up of Alita, like the promo art from the movie of her like
Oh,
with
that's
the
pretty cool.
Damascus blade on her shoulder.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I had like such a shitty seat, but like I didn't care. I was so just like enthralled with the film. Like it was the first time since like Speed Racer that I sat in the chair and I was like, this is fucking anime.
It does remind me a lot of Speed Racer now that I think about it.
Yeah, it's these are some of the only movies that like yeah, okay, Arda and I love fucking like the Death Note Netflix movie and like all these other like
I love
Western adaptations.
Western.
We like them
Yeah.
because there's such a different take on a lot of these things, but like it's very rare that they actually like really translate the feeling and the aesthetic of it and like not only how it looks but also like how it feels. And I
Mhm.
think
Yeah.
I think there's three movies that really do that in America. It's Speed Racer, Ghost in the Shell, and Alita Battle Angel. I get a lot of shit for Ghost in the Shell.
No, I agree with that.
I will stand by that is like a great fucking movie.
Okay, like real quick, just getting a bit on the shilling side. I have like a new computer, and I've been like slowly typing out like some scripts for some videos.
Hmm.
I think one of the first videos I'm gonna be pumping out, or just something I'm really working towards, is just a video talking about Western adaptations of anime versus like Japanese adaptations of
Oh,
anime.
and how Western are so much better, like across the board.
Yeah, because the Japanese ones, like they played way too safe, and there's just
Mhm.
nothing interesting about them.
Yeah,
You know,
that-
like
it looks
that,
it looks like cheap cosplay also.
Have you seen that Full
Yeah.
Metal Alchemist one? It's
Oh,
so
it's terrible. The Attack on
Like-
Titan one is like laughable also.
Oh,
I didn't even
then
know they made
there's
an Attack on
Parasite.
Oh
Titan like
god,
as
the Attack on
adaptation.
Titan movie is like abysmal.
There's
First
a
of
Mob
all,
Psycho one too.
no, that's
It was
actually a
a-
TV show. The Mob
Oh, it's a
Psycho
show.
one.
Is it good though?
Yeah.
I don't, I doubt it.
It sucks.
But no, the
The,
thing with the Attack on Titan one, I'm sorry to sidetrack you, Ardo, but you were sidetracking me to be fair.
yeah,
But with the Attack on
No.
Titan movie is so bad that it. To be fair, it tries to do its own thing, but it does it so horribly. It is very political, like the manga, but not in the right way. So it's been a while since I watched the movies because there's two movies I think for Attack on Titan. I think if I remember correctly, the twist is it's in like modern day, and the American government create the Titans,
Oh,
and they're trying to like subjugate Japan. I think that's what it's
so
about.
close.
it's symbolic.
So
Of,
close.
you know what's symbolic of? It's symbolic of the of when China think that America created this little virus that's going around.
Dude, okay. The Attack on Titan movie was not only was that movie actually just shit, but the showing of that movie was so abysmal that most of the showings, I think, like worldwide even, the first like 20-30 minutes didn't have any sound.
Oh no, yeah, I remember also, wasn't there a thing where like the subtitles got stuck?
Oh, I think that's what it was. I think that's what
Yeah,
it was. The
I think
subtitles that were for like 20 minutes. Yeah.
that was so funny. Yeah, that was
There's
I
a-
remember there's like
horrible,
you know,
horrible movie.
I just remembered since we're doing the Bleach thing. So if you're listening and you're wondering where's the Bleach, yeah, we're gonna do it. But our last episode, what we plan on doing is the last little bit of Bleach, a Burning of the Witch one shot, some of the movies. And I was thinking, now that we're talking about live action, there is a live action Bleach.
Wait,
Like
what?
Is it really?
Yeah, it's
No,
on
there's
Netflix.
not. What?
it's new. It's like Netflix, like 2017.
What?
Bleach.
Yeah. We should
It's
watch
Japanese
that
though,
as
so
well.
it sucks.
I
We
bet
should watch
it's
that.
terrible. I bet it's awful.
Yeah.
It just
Oh.
doesn't like Japanese adaptations. It's just
Yeah, they have it.
the only
Like the Full Metal Alchemist one. Like, okay, not only did they make the European characters all Japanese for whatever reason.
same with Attack on Titan.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm skimming through it. It's the entirety of the Shin Megami substitute arc. So it ends with Byakuya or what's his name, Renji. It ends with Renji, Byakuya, and like Rukia being taken away. That's how it ends.
That's
Oh,
wait. So it's just like the beginning.
Yes,
yeah.
That's terrible. That's like one of the worst parts.
Jesus.
I don't know if they're gonna make a sequel. I don't
Oh
know.
my
It
god.
looks terrible.
I'm
Dude,
gonna
Go back
Nice
to go back to the Alita movie. I feel like one of the biggest problems is I don't know if this is like in the OVA because you said a lot of like Yugo's stuff is from the OVA.
Mhm.
I think
Mhm.
like he has no real motivation to get to Zalem. It's so like
Well, that's the
It's
whole.
so
It's
lame.
super. I mean, it is very shallow. He just wants to go to Zalem because it looks
Yeah.
nice. As basically,
It wouldn't have been hard at all to include his brother. Like they
I know.
put
I
Clive
do.
Ree
I
in,
do
dude.
agree. I agree. It is a fucking travesty that they don't
Wait.
have his
Yeah.
backstory with his
Brother.
brother.
That's a fucking like hard hitting backstory.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes the end like so
no,
much less
I
impactful
do
because
completely agree with that.
Yeah.
Okay, my biggest complaint about Alita is it's too short.
Yeah.
It needed to have like I've seen
A
people say
director's cut.
I've seen people say it's too long. I disagree because the movie I
Yeah.
believe is like what 2 hours and like 5 minutes.
2 hours,
should-
2 minutes, I think.
It should have
It
been
could've
like
used-
it should have been like 2.5 at least.
Yeah, it could have.
is
It
2 hours
could have
40
used
maybe.
another like
2 hours
30
2
minutes.
minutes. It is 2 hours 2 minutes.
Yeah, no, because
Yeah.
I just rewatched it on HBO.
Yeah,
which, by
rewatched
the way,
it.
and you
I
should-
watched
you
it for the
should
first
too.
time last night.
You should
I should
also
rewatch
watch
it.
on
I really
HBO.
should. I think what I'll do is I'll when I finish the manga, I might go back and just rewatch it.
I mean, like I never really liked Yugo's character, so like
Yeah.
No, I think like Figure 4 is a much better like love
absolutely.
interest because
By the
he's
way-
badass.
Yeah. By the way,
Jason
please, Jason Momoa as Figure 4, please.
Jason Momoa's Figure 4 would be great.
Oh, that's Aquaman, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be
Also,
good.
another
That'd be
Kino movie.
No, Jason
Yeah.
Momoa could play the dude who has the original 99 in second division. Just gave him
Oh,
a fat suit and put him in like the big like suit,
That'd
and he has
be-
to do
that'd
all
be-
like the weird Chinese
that guy's
gymnastics.
really based, actually.
Yeah.
I love him.
It's great.
No, he's not as base as the turtle guy. I guess we're going into volume 2 now,
Great,
Motorball.
great. Yeah.
I mean, we
the
pretty
better one?
much. Actually, you know what? Before we get to volume 2, I do like since volume 1 is covered in the movie. Maybe this is when we get the movie out of the way, like completely.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I think
It's good.
Okay, I can.
I think
join this
Vector's a
conversation.
really really bad main villain.
Well, Vector's not the main villain.
Then who is? Who do you think?
Nova.
Grishka's the main villain? No,
Nova.
Nova has 5 minutes of
No,
screen time.
No, Nova
Man
is the
behind the
one that's
fire.
controlling
Face.
Vector and
Yeah, he
Grishka.
possesses him. Oh, it's so lame. I wish we had actually been able to see Nova like more than like
Well, Nova's
5 minutes.
not in volume 1 besides like Makaku's
Yeah.
backstory.
Yeah,
he's not
but,
even
like, I
he's
don't
not
know.
even in volume 2 like at all.
If he's, then
Yeah.
don't put him in as a villain. Like you're
You
just
have
putting
to,
him in.
though. You-
No.
Yeah.
Set it up.
Because it's okay. So first of all, Cameron wanted this to be a trilogy. So
Okay.
I actually wrote out a sequel idea for this.
Mhm.
That if you guys want to, I could like skim over later. But so I'm guessing. So first movie is obviously first volume. You got to set up the whole
Mhm.
world. Second movie, which Cameron said it would be called Fallen Angel.
Mhm.
Obviously it'd be Motorball and I like to call it the Big Man Japan arc.
Yeah.
So it'd be that,
Yeah.
and it ends with her joining Tuned. Then the finale is everything with the Barjack Revolution,
Mhm.
and then obviously storming Nova's compound. I think that works
Yeah.
great as a trilogy. I don't think
Yeah.
they would do Last Order. Like that's just too big and too weird, and
Yeah.
I'm okay with that honestly. And you gotta have because like Nova is the villain for the manga, but you
Yeah.
you barely see him.
Yeah.
Like even in the manga, he's barely there, and
That's
so
true.
like you do need to like plant those seeds, which is
I
why
guess.
I'm okay with it. Like, I like the idea of Nova possessing people because it like kind of goes in line with like what he's trying to do with like controlling karma. And it's just like yeah, I thought it was like the only way you could really incorporate him into the story of Volume 1.
It
How many
works,
volumes
but
is
like
Last
I
Order,
don't
by the
know.
way? 19. Is Last Order 19 volumes?
That's so long. What the hell?
Yeah, no, Last Order's huge.
I'm about to probably
then-
just order the entirety of Last Order right now.
Well, see, okay, before you do that, I'm gonna come clean real fast. I dropped Last Order actually, but
Really?
that was years
For shame.
years
For
ago.
shame.
No, okay,
Yeah.
because here's the thing. Number one, Last Order's too fucking long. Number two, well, okay, keep in mind this. I was a pleb back then, so I'm gonna say my complaints that I had as a pleb. So you can attack me all I want. This is what stupid me
Okay.
thought, and
This
is why.
is like baby Eric.
Yeah,
we're
I
attacking.
actually picked up Last Order. I'm on volume 2 now. Okay, number one, it's too long. Number two, it's too weird. Like it's too much sci-fi, and there's like fucking like vampires also in Last Order.
Oh,
Um,
really?
yeah. Number three, it's pretty much just a straight up battle shonen. Like over half of it is a tournament arc.
Mhm.
So
It's
those
too
were
much
my
great.
complaints. That's why I dropped it. Now I love all of those things now,
Yeah.
which
Sure
is
back.
why I've started it up again. And another thing is, wait, Clayton just said he's gonna be back. Okay, then
I think he just
I'll
left
save that point for when he comes back. But
Um,
yeah, let's
to
just.
go on back to the movie though, real quick,
Mhm.
Japan's character is completely ruined. Like he sucked.
How so?
He sucked. He's like there's no like real motivation for him aside
He
from
never
like,
had a
oh, like,
motivation.
yeah, he does because
Yeah.
he gets
was-
humiliated like 2 times in a row, and then he gets his face ripped off, which turns him into like big
Well,
man
yeah, that
Japan during
happens
the
in the
second
movie
arc.
also.
Yeah, but like I don't know, it's not done as well, and I think mixing his design with the original bartender's design was a mistake. I think he looks way better initially, and I don't understand why they made him Australian and gave him a stupid little metal bar goatee.
Well, he had a
'Cause
metal
that's what
bar.
Australians
He
look
had a
like.
metal
That's what
bar
Australians
in the
do.
manga.
They
But
could have made it look better. It looks terrible.
no, his design's
It looks like
great.
a Party City stick-on.
He has that like sick like Mayan calendar on his back. It's awesome looking.
The Mayan calendar is sick, but like everything else from his design is terrible.
No, I think I
He should have had
fucking
his hair, dude. He would have looked like Omega Red. He would look great.
Yeah, I don't like the hair. I don't like the.
yeah, the hair is
fucking-
the hair definitely feels like a case of like we don't want to animate hair, which is like so
Yeah.
common. Because I mean, to be fair, I mean you have Alita, like you have all that hair. She's pretty much the only character in the CGI character in the movie that like has a full head of hair. Now that I think about it.
Because they don't like.
Josh Gunn has hair, but it's like really short.
Well, yeah, it's Jai Courtney's hair. That's all
Mhm.
it is. That's like what he actually looks like.
Yeah.
Can we like appreciate though like how like perfect Alita looks and acts?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it looks great.
Yeah,
So
I-
cute.
I think
So cute.
Hair could have been bigger, but aside from that, like,
I think
so
like legitimately Rosa Salazar gives like one of the greatest lead performances in like any blockbuster movie, and like certainly
she was great.
certainly like the one of the greatest mocap performances.
Good
I mean,
news,
like-
boys.
Oh yeah.
I mean like
My mic is in.
ooh nice.
Hmm?
Don't set up now because it might
I
like
know.
okay.
I know.
Like I don't know, I love everything about Salazar's Alita. It's just like she's so cute, but she also like she has this great arc where she starts out, you know, in like the doll body, very like childish and like very naive, and then obviously once she gets the berserker body, she kind of like matures up in all many senses of the word. I love the part in the movie when like she grows tits basically, and then
Yeah.
Ito's
Just in real life.
assistant is like, oh, she's probably older than you thought she was. That was great.
No, the motion capture is like phenomenal in this.
Mhm.
going
Yeah.
back to Ito, I think Ito's character, like, I know you were telling me before this that like he's one of the characters that like definitely gets like much more developed than he does
Oh
in the
yeah,
manga.
absolutely, yeah.
But
Yeah.
I don't think it's like for the better. I think his like,
Really?
yeah, I think his whole like imposing his daughter onto Alita kind of sucks. And like, I especially think that like the inclusion of Sharon is
No,
terrible because I think the actress is terrible
No,
for
fuck
Sharon.
off. Jennifer Connelly's great.
Jennifer Connelly's awful in that role, dude.
No.
There's like no emotion that comes through at all.
No.
No,
Jennifer,
it's what
Jennifer,
she's
no.
like a bored dude.
Jennifer Connelly is the fucking queen, and I will not stand
care.
slander of her.
No,
she
Jennifer
was-
Connelly
she
does a
was
terrible job, dude.
She was one of my first crushes in my life, and that crush
Oh,
has
so you're just simping
and
after her?
and
No
that,
wonder.
that crush has maintained to this very day.
Yeah, so you're just defending her because you're
This
simping
is,
after
this
her.
is
No
the waifu
wonder.
episode.
I can't think of like any like bad like acting roles in that movie. Honestly.
No, I mean, I think everyone's.
I think Japan has a bad acting role. I think he has a terrible accent.
No, he's like so smug. It's great.
He's so
Yeah.
like he didn't have to be Australian. He
Who
would have been
cares?
fine normal. It's like comical.
And
Eh, fuck shit
Zapan's
about
fucking Zapan's fucking pathetic and comical in the first volume.
He's pathetic, but he's not like that comical. He's only comical
It's-
after like he rips
it's-
his wife's head off because he like
Don't-
loses his
No,
mind.
that's not fucking comical at all. It's sad as fuck.
It's not sad at all because it's just like he's just like continuing to be humiliated
Well,
by
yeah,
someone who barely knows who he is.
Dude, that's how Australians act in real life, man.
That's just
Yeah, we
Travis.
know. Yeah.
yeah.
Oh my God.
No, yeah. I mean, and then Marshall Ali, I thought was like great as Vector, and even if
He's
he doesn't,
fantastic as
even if he
Vector.
doesn't have that much to do, I mean, just his presence is so good. Like
Mhm.
Yeah.
his and he has drip, man. Like he has some
Oh,
mad
yeah.
drip. Honestly, like the costumes in this movie overall are great. Like Ito with his
Mhm.
fucking coat and his hammer. His hammer looks
Yeah, I'm glad they did
awesome.
Ito they did
Yeah.
Ito justice with that.
Yeah.
I did
They
think they
did.
were gonna actually do the hammer.
The
I wanted to bring up though when we were talking about Ito's character, I think him imposing his daughter on Alita works really well because I think okay, this is what I wrote in my sequel idea, but even in the manga, he's kind of at first he's very protective of her, and then he kind of learns to step back, and he's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, this is Alita, this is her life. I'm not in control." But obviously, you don't get that in this movie because he is very controlling. Because again, he's like projecting his daughter onto her. I think that's
Mhm.
setting up for the sequel in the idea that
Okay.
I wrote that would come to a climax, and they'll basically like have a falling out, and that's gonna lead Ito to joining Josugan in Motorball, so that he'll be like, oh, he'll beat Alita into submission, and then so a major change that I would do in the movie is
Mhm.
Josugan. You know how in the manga, his whole thing is Nova brought him back to life, but he has like periods of brain death as a result.
You're gonna get rid of like the most important
No, no,
aspect of Costigan's
no, no,
character.
no, 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 no. So the brain death is gonna happen, but also
Mhm.
it'll during that time, Nova will be able to like take control of him. And
Oh,
so
that's really cool. Yeah.
yeah, and so like Josugan the whole time he's like, "Oh, I can't wait. This is going to be a fair fight, Alita. Like we're going to do great in Motorball." Then during Motorball, he does brain death. Seems like he
Mhm.
comes back, but it's Nova. Ito kind of senses this and he realizes like, "Oh fuck, like now Alita's in like real danger and it's because of me." And
Mhm.
that'll be like a character growth moment for him that he
Would you have
really
that on top of the arm wrestling scene, or would you
Yeah,
just like
yes.
on top? So you'd have two like Ito fucks up and almost kills her.
Yeah.
Isn't that kind of redundant though? Doesn't that like
Well,
I feel like you'd have to get rid of the arm wrestling scene?
no, arm wrestling seems too good. I don't want to get
It's,
rid of
it's
it.
too good, but like that's when Ito's like, oh man, like have I gone like too far? So like having him do it again means he just like learned nothing from that
Yeah,
initial exchange
yeah, but
because he's terrified during that exchange that like Alita's gonna die.
I think it would work if the arm wrestling thing happens, but then obviously Josugan, he loses, but then he still has that attitude of like that was a good match. She nearly
Mhm.
broke me, and Ito will get like reassured, but because
Mhm.
but then like because that's Josugan, that's actually how Josugan
Oh yeah.
acts. Then
Mhm.
during Motorball, he notices like, okay, I've seen Josugan push Alita. This isn't Josugan. This is actually
Okay.
like he's going for blood this time,
Mhm.
and that's because of Nova.
I guess that could work.
And then
I do think the motorball scenes are the best scenes in the film. They're
oh
like
yeah, yeah, awesome. They're awesome.
all, I just wanted more of that because that's
Um,
incredible.
mhm.
The fight in the sewers, that was so tight.
Yeah, the series
They
are pretty
and
cool.
then they I want to appreciate like I was so mad when this movie was revealed to be PG-13 because the manga is
Yeah.
very brutal, but man,
Yeah,
they
that was brutal.
stretched the fuck out of the
Yeah, they
PG-13
really
version,
pushed it. I
which I
Scene where
really
Alita cuts what's his face off or whatever.
Zapan,
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah.
and then there's also, I mean, that whole scene in the sewer is lifted straight from the manga when she like
yeah.
gets all of her
Yeah.
limbs taken off and then she shoves her hand
Mhm.
into his eye. It's
Yeah.
so good. Like,
Mhm.
Yeah,
or
that
even
shit's
like the first scene when she attacks the people to help Ito, and she fucking
Yeah.
like crushes that girl's skull against the wall,
yeah.
and then
Dude,
she
they do
slides
like
down.
the first part where I was like, did I check the rating right? Was when she beats up the first guy and you see like the spurts of blood come
Yeah,
out. I was like, wait,
and they even
are they
kept
allowed to do this?
yeah, they even kept Zapan fucking slicing Yugo's partners in half. And
Yeah.
you actually get to see it happen. It's awesome.
Yeah, it was great.
And then
I think this
honestly
fight has
one of the greatest F bombs like in movie history
Oh yeah,
is
great.
against
fuck you.
Garishka. Fuck your
It's Alita
mercy.
fucking Battle Angel.
Oh my god, yeah. I just when you make blood like blue, you can get away with a lot more
Yeah, you
stuff.
get away with anything.
Mhm.
And I also
When you
appreciate how
get
like
any
when
color of it,
I appreciate like when Ito's like operating on robots, you actually see like because there's so much detail in this movie, but like you
Yeah.
can actually see like inside of their bodies that they actually have like tubes of like this like
Mhm.
blue shit. So it's like, oh, it makes
yeah,
sense that they don't have blood, they have this weird like fluid.
blue shit.
Yeah.
They have Kool-Aid.
Speaking of like that kind of stuff, there's one thing I don't know if you got to it in the manga, Clayton, but there's a part when Ito is like building Alita. Um, his assistant is like, "Hey, do you want to put like this glucose machine inside of her? She
Oh
won't
yeah.
she won't have to eat and she won't have to take a shit anymore." And then Ito is like, "Those two things are like what make people human," and so he
Human,
doesn't do
yeah.
that. And then he
I
like,
would totally take that.
and then Alita like actually like has to take a shit. And Ito was like, "Is anything coming out?" So
Can I get a whiff?
when I brought that up on the podcast I was on for Bad Filmcast, there was a very dangerous question asked. Does that mean you could do anal with Alita if she actually can poop?
Insane.
Does Alita shit? The real question.
Film theory.
There's some streamlining in the movie that I thought was really well done. Like in the manga, Ito's the one. Like he just shows up with the berserker body, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I found this in a spaceship." But I
I
think
thought
it's
that was better.
no, I think it's much better for Alita to do it herself. Because number one, it gives her character more agency. Because she does like fuck all in the first volume of the manga.
Yeah.
She's very receptive to everything, which isn't like a bad
Okay,
thing. Because you know she's very naive at first.
Mhm.
But then it also like it number two, it brings up stuff in for the Last Order stuff with like her backstory, and it kind of sets up these kind of stakes of like, look at this. We get to explore kind of the backstory of Iron City more. It's like, look, there was this war with
Mhm.
Mars, and this is kind of like, and they even say like people are kind of profiting off of this, and but like they can't even. I love what Kiyomi, I think she says, which is I will say it's weird that Kiyomi's already an adult, but I
Mhm.
guess that's just because the manga takes place over like what 15 years, 20 years.
Yeah.
I'm guessing they're
Yeah.
gonna condense that shit, so I guess it makes sense for Kiyomi to not be like a baby at this time. But she even says like, yeah, they can't even sell this shit because no one can like reverse engineer Martian technology. I thought that
Mhm.
was like a really interesting like little bit of lore. No,
I
I
don't
think
like any of the Last Order like additions. I think all the URM exposition is like unnecessary and like could have been replaced with more Motorball.
well, I mean, you gotta save Motorball for the sequel.
Yeah.
I guess. I don't know. I would have been fine if they'd completely like taken out the first volume and just made a Motorball film. That's
Well,
honestly what I
you can't
expected.
have like just you need to set up everything.
Yeah.
That's like this because obviously if they're gonna continue this series, they're gonna have to bring up They're gonna have to bring up all these different Panzerkunst. They have to give a lot of weight to the Berserker body because in my sequel idea, um, the Berserker body gets stolen. Because I thought what would happen is in the arm wrestle fights, Josuke
Mhm.
destroys the Berserk, not like destroys the Berserker body, but like really damages it, and then
Mhm.
that means like Alita's like fuck, so like her manager or whatever makes her like a special like motorball body, and during
That's what happens in the manga.
well in the manga she's an idiot and she sells it, which is
Oh,
like
right,
but
right.
but because the Berserker body isn't as special in the manga as it is in the movie, so
Mhm.
that's why I would
Yeah.
have it be stolen.
Okay.
And that's you got to set up like these things have like value, and like
You're gonna have to pan steal it.
there's a history. I would have Nova actually steal it,
Okay.
and then he puts the body on Zapan. But
Mhm.
yeah, no, I think, or I guess you could have Zapan steal it, but no, I kind of want to keep Nova like his little tiny little compound, because
Mhm.
then that's when Ito quote unquote dies, and I think like Alita seeing Ito die quote unquote would be like really impactful if they had just had a falling out in this
Yeah.
movie, because then she's
Because
like,
that
oh
part was
fuck, like that's kind of my fault type of thing.
Yeah.
Oh,
Dude, Ito
imagine
dying
how
in the manga is fucked because like he never really comes back.
Yeah.
well, yes and no.
Dude, I want to know how they're gonna do that
What
in
do you mean?
fucking
Yes, no. In Last Order, does something happen or like?
No, dude,
Because
remember in I think it's like volume like 4, I want to say, she finds Ito and he's complete like
yeah,
Nova
he doesn't
was
remember his
no no
memory's
no
wiped.
no. What happened was Nova was true to his word. He brought Ito back like perfectly, but then
Mhm.
he was like, "Oh, by the way, here's the secret of Zalem." And then Ito
Yeah,
went so crazy that he himself erased his memory.
yeah.
Yeah.
So he does come back.
I think that like I love the secret reveal. It's so like crazy.
It's such a great reveal because like it honestly doesn't sound that crazy, but to the people of Zalem,
To the people who that's happened
you
to, yeah, you're like,
understand why that's
wait.
a really big deal.
Yeah.
Clayton, I don't know if you know what the secret is, and so I will. That's one thing I don't want to spoil for you. The secret is
Yeah.
Zalem. They actually do reference it in this movie, which was really
Do
interesting.
they?
Yeah, remember when Vector kills Chirian, and then he's like, "Oh, I was true to my promise. She's going up to Zalem," and then it shows like her brain in a jar.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's okay. That I did. That's not like as big
Did,
of a spoiler as it
why doesn't
sounds.
Ito have the Zalem mark on his forehead
He
in this?
he says he removed it in the movie.
Oh,
So
does
that
he?
yeah, he
Gosh,
says it.
Yeah, he does.
He says it to Alita.
I must have been too drunk.
Well, there you go. You were fucking drunk when you watched it.
Yeah.
Dude, the
Look
Alita
at
I watched
that.
it
movie
like
is
5
such
a.m. Leave me alone.
it's such a like audio
Snore.
visual like experience, man.
Yeah, it's great. You went to Passport to Iron City, right?
Oh my, okay, I wanted to talk about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I went to they had a like full immersion Alita like exhibit slash escape room called Passport to Iron City to promote the
It was an
movie.
escape room too.
Yeah, so
Holy crap!
mm, it was so awesome. So it was kind of expensive. It was like I don't know like 30 $40, but I guess like since no one was going, they made it like $10 if you went on like these specific days. So
Mhm.
we went, obviously. I got like a big group of people. It was in this like shitty little warehouse in the middle of LA, and we were like, this is like so fucking shady. But we step in, and immediately I was just like, wow. It
To
was
put your brain in a jar, sent to Zalem.
in the jar.
Dude, it like just the amount of detail that was in this place. Like I haven't been to many escape rooms. In fact, I've only been to two, but this was like one of the cool like I don't think any escape room could ever top this. So you walk in and immediately it's like, oh, this is Iron City. It's like fucking scrap and like garbage everywhere. And I was like, oh, I need to go to the bathroom. I go in the bathroom and the entire walls and like the stall doors and everything are like screen caps of the Alita manga,
Oh, that's super cool.
and it's like so beautiful. Like I was peeing in a urinal and I look to my side and I just see Alita in her motorball outfit in the manga, and I'm like, yeah.
Just pointing at your penis, going, "Wow,
And
that's small."
and
Here.
so you go up to the front desk and they have the deck man, is that what they're called? The little heads?
Yeah, the Deckman.
Yeah, so
Huge.
they
Oh
have a
my gosh.
deck man there, and then
What?
it's like, oh, take your photo, and so like it takes your photo, and then it prints out a Hunter Warrior ID for you.
That's so sick.
It was so legit. And
You
then
still have yours.
yeah, I have it somewhere. And so then you walk through the door and then you're in the Kansas bar. And it's like it looks incredible. They have like the
Yeah, I'm looking
huge
at images
neon.
of it right
Yeah, they have like the neon sign. Everyone is like in character. Um they get mad if you refer to things as dollars. And and they're like, what is that? That's old world shit. And then like so we order some drinks. They have Alita beer. It came in these special cans. I think they was called like the Panzerkunst flavor was the one that was at LA. Each location
Mhm.
had a different flavor. And
That's
so
pretty cool.
yeah, it was awesome. And then like as we're drinking and having fun, this like shady guy comes up and he's like, "Hey, for some credits, I'll let you in on like some secrets of Iron City and like shit like that." And like it's so awesome. And
Mhm.
so then you actually go into like the kind of escape room proper, and it's just like gorgeous. They have like vehicles from Alita just like scattered around. There's like basically they tell you you have a limited amount of time. I think you have like 30 minutes or something. And there's all these different things you can do to earn credits. And then it would end with a motorball race, and you could bet your credits, and whoever has the most credits will be sent to Zalem.
Oh, that's sick.
Yeah, and so
But
well, wait. I mean, with the context of Last Order, you don't want to fucking go to Solemn.
Did you go to
yeah,
Zol?
but
Did you go to
No,
Zol?
we didn't go to Zalem. But anyway,
yeah.
oh yeah, I just want to say about Last Order, you don't get to actually see Zalem until Last Order, which is like fucking crazy.
I might
Yeah.
start Last Order then. I was gonna start Priest today, but I think I might just start Last Order instead.
When you see what Zalem is, you're like, really? This is what everyone was hyping up? It's like it's so weird. Anyways, so it was so cool. They had like all these different things and they were really themed. So like one of the ones that we did was like they tell you that like they've implanted you with like a new like basically technolized legs, and they're like you need to test them, and so it's like a treadmill, and you have to like run as fast as you can on it to earn credits. There's like you can visit the scrapyard, so they have like all these like pieces of scrap lying around and like all these piles on tables, and you can pick up the scraps, and if you know like your Alita lore, you can figure out like which pieces of scrap are worth the most credits.
Nice.
There's like so much cool stuff. There was like people you could buy like maps from them, and they would show you there's like graffiti on the walls that have like secrets to get like bonus credits and like riddles and shit. It's just
Hmm.
super like well done, like a lot of cool shit. And then so ultimately the motorball, you choose someone, one of the combatants, and then you actually would get like a little card. I think it was a holographic card, and you get to keep it, by the way. It was awesome. So
Nice.
they give you the card, and it has like the stats and everything, and then
That's
they
so
have like
fucking
a
cool.
screen that has like a board and with like lights, right? And like that's the motorball. So you're just watching the lights, you bet your credits, and you're like, go, go, go. And we lost so hard because we bet on the guy from the movie, the Asian motorball guy that
Mhm.
Hugo steals, I think, the hand with the claws from.
Yeah.
So we bet on him because we were like, oh, he's the one that wins in the movie, uh, and he fucking lost. I think it's randomized. So after all that's done, I don't know who the people that won. I don't know if they got anything special, but they brought us into the gift shop. They had these super. Oh, I see Arda sent this in our Discord. They had these super shitty looking little
Yeah.
Alita statues that were like awful.
It's so
Those were
Wait, where'd
bad.
you post it?
He posted
It's
it
not.
in the talk channel.
Yeah, those
Oh.
those are, like the only Alita merchandise you can really
Great, we're
get.
just we're describing shit that like people watching this podcast won't even know.
Oh my gosh, that's
Yeah, they're
hideous.
awful. They're so bad. But they had like Alita shot glass set. They had like hot sauce
Mhm.
set. They had the replicas of the chocolate bars that Alita eats in the movie, so I got one and it was delicious.
Mhm.
They had the manga hardcovers there. It was
Ooh.
really cool. And they also had like props, and you could take photos against like a green screen. I have some photos. And, like they gave you like there were these robot arms you could wear. They had a replica of the Damascus blade that you could hold. It was just like so cool, and it was like really surreal, like this thing that I've known for a while, and it's just like to see it like visualize like this in depth was just like so awesome.
Yeah.
Oh,
There's something that I really love about Alita is like the amount of world building that they put in, not only with like the notes on like everything, but also the end of volume, like 4 or 5 pages, like, oh, this is how a deck man comes to be.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
Or
I
yeah.
that like
love all those things. They're so good.
Alita ran so Dr. Stone could walk.
Yeah, I mean, the sheer amount of scientific thought that Kishido put into the series is just unreal. And
Yeah.
so one thing that's special about this box set that Clayton and I have is, and I didn't even know these existed. For the first time in English, there's a whole volume of side stories that Kishido wrote.
Really.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I actually I read one of them because back in the day when like fan translations were a thing and Alita wasn't popular, so there wasn't that much stuff available. Um, one of the stories is about a deckman and there's no dialogue, and it's incredible. So that was one of the only ones I got to read. Um,
Yeah.
it's gorgeous. And then another
That's about the
one.
guy that wants to become one, right?
No, it's a different one. That story is really funny though. No, this is
Yeah.
like a full like 50-page story, and
Oh
it's
wow.
well, maybe not 50 pages, but yeah, it's like this deck man just like, minding his own business, and then he's being really like cute and friendly with everyone, and he doesn't know he's being hunted down by Alita because this is when she was a tuned agent.
Hmm.
Um, but my favorite story, easily my favorite story in that volume is called Holy Night. I'm getting
Yeah.
goosebumps right now just thinking about it. I think it's like legitimately one of the greatest things I've ever read, and it's the
I'm ordering the hardcover omnibus right now.
Oh yeah,
Actually,
dude, it's
I just
wonderful.
ordered all of Last Order as we were talking.
how much is all of Last Order?
Probably
About
really
100 something, like
yeah.
100 something,
Fuck.
120-ish. I
Oh,
think.
that's not.
Oh,
That's not
okay. I don't know
bad.
if you guys know, but you know Alita's still going on.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got
Mars
Mars
Chronicle.
Chronicle.
Mars
Yeah.
Chronicle, yeah.
Is
Which I
Mars
heard,
Chronicle good?
it sounds
Okay.
really interesting. I that's why
Yeah.
I'm reading Last Order right now so I could get to Mars Chronicle.
It's a prequel.
Mhm.
from
It's
what I know.
mostly a prequel. There is a little bit of story progression, but I heard one of my friends, good friend of mine, that's in the hardcore player in the Alita army. She said that it's like straight up body horror, and it's like really
Yo,
disturbing.
I love body horror.
Which is
Yeah.
I'm super excited because Last Order is like really tame compared to the original series. Because
Is it?
Last Order is actually a shonen, I believe.
Oh, okay.
And it's funny because Kishido said that the target
Yeah, it ran and
audience.
jumped.
Yeah, so Kishido said that the target audience for the first Battle Angel Alita series was 30-year-old male office workers.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Because I know Last Order ran in Ultra Jump, which is the bi-weekly.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah, and so one interesting tidbit about Kishido actually. So Clayton, you haven't got there yet, but anyone that's read the manga knows the last volume. Oh
Yeah.
boy,
Oof.
it
Dude, Eric was
is.
telling me about the background for this shit, and what the fuck?
The last volume is rough, Clayton.
Yeah.
It was extremely rushed, super anticlimactic, and Last Order actually retcons the entire last volume.
Thank
Um,
God.
because the thing is, Kishido actually kind of went insane while writing Alita.
Yeah.
It was so much work for him, like not only like mentally just coming up with this story and all this like lore and shit, but it was also just like the art and everything. And he had all this crazy huge story plan with like space and all that, and then he just couldn't anymore. He had like several breakdowns, so he preemptively ended Alita, took a 5-year break, and then he did Last Order. So it's like super interesting that it's still an ongoing thing. I heard Mars Chronicle updates kind of rarely, but man, like this guy Kishido is just he's so fucking talented. He's like a true visionary, and like
I'm
The
still
dude, the scans that I read had like two separate endings attached to them. Like there's chapter 51 and then 51.2 and point
mhm.
3.
yeah.
So the canon ending, sorry Clayton, the canon ending is when Nova blows Alita up and picks up her brain.
oh no.
Okay.
That's the canon ending,
Base.
because then that leads to Last Order. But
Base.
the non-canon ending is the entire last volume where Nova comes back to Zalem, resurrects her. She ends up killing herself to stop Zalem from falling on top of Iron City, and then that's how
Mhm.
the original series ended. It's really rough. Um, Although I do actually like the ending itself for Alita when Figure 4 basically resurrects her. I thought that was so Chad because he's like, it's been like, what, like 10 years? And he's like, no, she said she would come back. It's
Figure 4 is like
I,
based sick.
Figure 4 is awesome. So Clayton, I guess we're going into Volume 3, but Figure 4 is basically Alita's like Chad BF.
Yeah.
He has no augmentations and he like hates cyborgs and he's just like I will kill all cyborgs with my bare hands. But he loves Alita because Alita is like, she's basically human and um they have to separate, but they say like we will meet up again and we will get married, and
Yeah.
it's so wonderful. Like Figure 4 is just so Chad.
He's
Dude, I
actually
will say that the final panel of volume 9 is funny as fuck because he's got the Nova has the I don't want to
Oh my
spoil it
god, yeah,
for
okay.
Clayton,
No,
but
Clayton, dude, Nova gets like fucked up, is all we'll say. It's
so,
hilarious. He's such a fucking scumbag. I love him. He's honestly like one of my favorite characters ever just because he's so crazy. And he
so
has this
weird.
weird ass philosophy about karma and machines that's like super
Mhm.
interesting. Um, one thing that I love in Volume 2, I believe it's Volume 2, one of the motorball combatants, he says something like return to substance.
yeah, return to no, that's on him. That's Clive Reese says return to substance,
Oh,
either
yeah,
to
okay.
Alita or to Yugo's brother, and it's like this whole play on like this is Descartes. I don't know. It's some
Descartes is
like
the one that said, I think, therefore I am. They do
right.
reference Descartes with Chaos, who's Nova's
Mhm.
son. They reference
Yeah.
him, and
He's my favorite character.
that's a very interesting character. He has a weird gimmick. No, you're right. It is not in Motorball. I don't know why I thought that. But yeah, it's a play on like this concept of like kind of like karma, but like the way that like people all have like their substance. That there's we're not just meat. We have like souls basically. But to these cyborgs are seen by people as like not divine, as just like pieces of metal. So it's like return to substance. It's like return to like the mineral that your like machine body was made from. And it's like that's such a cool fucking quote for like a cyberpunk slash diesel punk series. It's so
Yeah.
awesome. Just like there's so much weird philosophy in Alita, and obviously it's like it is very like I really don't want to say like anti-fascist, anti like oligarchy, I guess, because you have this like elite ruling class, but then like when you actually get to Zalem, you find out that like they're pretty much just as subjugated as everyone else in Iron City. It's so
Really?
fascinating.
Can't wait to
Like,
start Lost Order then.
real quick with like one last thing about Figure 4. One of like the scenes that just like stood out the most to me out of the entire series was just the page of Figure 4 like drinking, and then he goes, "Ah, the bullets are so scared of me that they avoided me."
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's great.
Is that the part where they're like after the train crash and they're hiding out in the
Yeah.
building? Yeah, that
Mhm.
part's great.
Chad.
Volume 3 is just like so incredible because you have Figure 4, you have Big Man Japan. That's just like an
Mhm.
amazing fights.
Yeah.
Him and Alita, and just like his whole story with Sarah is just like so
Yeah.
like tragic and horrible. And
Yeah.
like I keep saying that like if there was an Alita sequel, I think it would like legitimately go down as like one of the best fucking movies ever. Just because like the
Yeah.
Can you
material
imagine
that
them animating like Den's final charge to O Fortuna? That'd be
oh my
fucking
god, yeah. That's
insane.
another
That's my favorite
Yeah,
panel.
it's amazing. That's another thing I want to bring up. I'm thankful you did that, Maxwell. Is like the
Yeah.
use of licensed music in Alita is just like incredible.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Is like you have that, you have Alita singing. Like I hate the song, but I do
Mhm.
appreciate it anyways. Alita sings "Big Generator" by Yes,
Yeah.
which like at least it's a Yes reference. Japan loves the prog rock. There's another instance. I believe it's in Volume 4, and it's I think it's like when it's like Lou Collins and she's like listening to like a song or something. Oh, it's when Alita's with
Oh,
Chaos.
yeah.
It's a song by the Alan Parsons Project.
Yeah. No, because like Cass is like the radio host.
Yeah,
So
that's
Mhm.
it. And
they
Luke
chose
Luke
that.
Collins is listening to the radio even in Zalem, and she's like, "Oh, that
Yeah.
was like you're a really great like broadcaster to
Mhm.
Chaos." Yeah, that scene is incredible too. It's just so like kind of
Yeah.
melancholic and chill. Like, Alita
Chad.
has those moments, where it just kind of slows
Yeah.
down and it's like really about the character.
Yeah, I think like a really good example of that is like, and it's like sort of related to the music thing, is like just this one page spread of her just sitting down and playing the harmonica. That's
Yeah,
one of my
that's
favorite
volume
things.
3. Incredible.
Yeah.
Because I love that because it's that leads to like the best part of volume 3, and like Figure 4 sees that, and in his head it's kind of like, oh look, this cyborg is actually like making this kind of music, and then he later on when they're lost in the desert, he takes her harmonica and like plays like a rain dance basically, because
Mhm.
they know they're about to die, especially Alita, because she explains that her metal body is more susceptible to heat exhaustion, which I thought
Yeah.
was like a really cool idea. Um, and then they play the rain dance. They're like about to die, and then the tuned agent that watches her actually manipulates the weather so that it rains. And then someone working in Zalem says something like, I don't know, like, do you believe in miracles? And he's like, yeah, I do, as he's making this like artificial kind of miracle happen. I just thought it was like a super like poignant moment, and just to see in that last panel Alita and Figure 4 just embracing and laughing is
Yeah.
just so
It's
wonderful.
incredible.
There's so much humanity in this series, and like it's so much more than just like, wow, cool cyberpunk.
I'm really sorry about the fucking ambulance outside, by the
It's all good. It's all good.
way.
Um, but yeah, like it's just like Clayton, I know you just started Alita, and I just like
Yeah,
buckle
a
up.
lot of this is
Like
going over my head, so I'm having
yeah,
like a bit of a
I know.
information overload, so I'm forgetting half the stuff you
It's
guys
a
are saying. So we're good.
yeah. I mean, you'll experience it yourself. I'm just like I did want to talk about Holy Knight because I got sidetracked, but yeah, it's the Ito backstory, and actually, it's interesting. Holy Knight was actually one of the prototypes that Kishido wrote before Alita. He wrote it
Really?
like years ago, and
Really?
he wrote it as its own story. It was a self-contained story, and he changed a lot of it, and then ended up fitting it into Alita. But the way it's told is just like beautiful. It's like such an emotionally moving story. It's basically, how Ito in the manga says like, "Oh yeah, I named you after my cat."
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
that cat actually is in it, and it's really cute. But it's a Christmas
Oh.
story about Ito,
Oh.
like when he first came to Iron City from Zalem, and how he like didn't know how anything worked. He didn't even know that he wanted to be a doctor.
Hmm.
And it's interesting, like he was actually repulsed by cyborgs at first because he was just like, there's nothing like that in Zalem. And it's like, and like the only thing really that like Zalem knows about cyborgs is just from Nova, who's like this horrible maniac. And
Yeah.
so like he gets under the wing of this doctor, who's also from Zalem, and meanwhile like he bonds with this kind of like homeless girl that he finds. It's such a beautiful story, and it just like highlights so much of like what I appreciate from Alita, like and then that and again like that's kind of like one thing I didn't like as much in Last Order, is Last Order is much more focused on like the action. Still get me wrong, the action in Alita is like fucking great, but to me it's all about those like quieter moments with the
Hmm.
characters. Especially
Yeah.
like Volume 4 is full of that.
Yeah.
With, Chaos, with Barjack,
Hmm.
Den's, yeah, he's the relationship between Den and Chaos is. I know he's your favorite character, Arda, so I'll let you take over for this.
Uh, okay. First of all, Chaos has one of the coolest powers in all of fiction, and it's really underutilized. And I would love to see more of it. I think if I ever make my own little funny like battle shonen or something like that, that's definitely going to be a power I utilize just because the whole thing of psychometry, I think it's what it's called, is really
Hmm.
awesome. Of if you like touch something, you can get all the memories and knowledge of like other people who touch that same thing. So like doesn't he get like a yeah, he gets like a samurai sword and he just
Hmm.
starts like swinging that shit
Yeah, he
around because
understands because of the history of the katana
yeah,
and the
he
samurai. Yeah.
understands the way of the blade, yeah, and he just like he hoards a bunch of like artifacts from like the olden times,
And I love
and
his
that's how
little excavation team that he has.
yeah
It's so cool. They just like go out and try to find like he's such a great counter to Nova. Nova's all about like he's all about cyborgs and robots and shit, but he also like really wants to grasp like the concept of karma.
yeah
And then you have Chaos, who's like completely about like karma and like the
tradition
soul and tradition and all this stuff.
yeah
And it's so interesting, just their character dynamics. Like
yeah.
I asked you
Actually,
before. I asked you before, like, who do you think could play him in a movie? And it's one of those, like, I can't really answer that because he's just such
yeah.
a.
Jared Leto.
You know what? Like,
He would try.
actually, Jared Leto in Blade Runner 2049 actually gave me like huge Chaos vibes
Yeah, I don't know. I just think he's trying too hard. It was like,
because they're both blind. They're both like weird.
yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Oh yeah. I think personally, I would like me to be the one that plays Chaos in the movie, just so I can just
Literally me.
no, dude, you gotta be Jossian.
I just want to make out with Rosa Salazar. I know you're listening to this. I know you're a big fan of Real Human Being. Please message me.
Dude, I wanna
Uh,
like say also like I'm sorry I have to spoil this, Clayton, but like the kind of psychotic slash emotional link between Chaos and Den is just so profound, and like I think it's touched on like so perfectly when Chaos says his backstory about like when Nova gave him a pet bird and he like raised it so lovingly from an egg, and then he was like, I didn't want to see it like trapped in this cage, so I let it out. And right when he let it out, it started flying towards Zalem, and it got shut
Yeah.
down by these like drones.
And
And then,
Destinova fucking laughs.
that's pretty much what happened to Yuga.
News. I was able to like block all of that information out.
well, no, that wasn't the spoiler part.
Okay, hold on. I'm gonna
So,
try to block that out.
so the spoiler part is then when Den is kind of explaining. I think it's Kiyomi asks him like why are you so like hell bent on this, and Den just says, I want to have a world where birds can fly. It's just so like damn, like wow. Also, just Den's design is so badass.
Holy shit, Den's design is incredible.
Okay, cool. I just
Yeah, you're good. You're good.
All right.
Gundam
thing with-
Senpai.
That's just what happens with Yuga, anyways.
Dude,
So I like that.
Gundam who? What's Gundam? Because Den is fucking. I want to have a fucking Gunpla of Den, and
Dude, yeah, that'd be sick.
it's such a travesty. There's like
It
no
looks like a
fucking.
Zaku.
Yeah, he does. He really does. There's no fucking Alita merch, especially
Oh.
Japanese Alita merch. There's like none.
There's like 3 figures just based off the movie alone, but there's like nothing for the manga, and that sucks.
Time
There's
to go on
actually
Redbubble.
there's actually pre-orders right now for Hot Toys. Actually,
Yeah.
next month they're releasing the Alita figure, and I'm actually gonna pre-order this. I'll send the link. I know no one while listening to this is gonna know what we're
Probably
talking
too
about,
expensive.
but it's
Yeah, it's not
250
that bad looking
bucks.
of a figure.
But
Jeez.
dude, look at this. Look at this figure. It is just unbelievable. Like I'm gonna buy this. It is just so beautiful. The amount of detail on the berserker body. The
Mhm.
fact that like you could take the clothes off if you wanted to, so you could just
What?
see like all that detail is.
I
oh
remember
my
there was a
God.
version of this figure with like her face paint. I remember that.
Yeah.
There's also like a $3,000 bust, a life-size
Oh,
bust.
Hmm.
That's like kind of really weird looking, honestly. But it looks gorgeous also. Like just the design of it, the sculpt, the hair, the detail on the berserker body, the fact that her heart is like exposed, and I'd like to
Yeah.
imagine you could probably take it out. But yeah, that's like $3,000.
I need a big fucking jar for that one.
Oh, Hector
And
sent the
then
jar, yeah.
The jar's that big.
and then this thing is fucking $1,000, and it's this massive statue of Alita in the
Wow.
berserker body.
How big is
Yeah.
it?
It
Yeah,
is
Dude, that is not big enough to be $1,000. That's
25 inches.
Eric,
2 feet.
Dude, but the detail on it.
I don't care. It's a
Look at-
grand, Eric.
Look at that. It's so good.
That's insane.
Eric, I think I'll just make like an Imgur album and put in the description with just like the shit we talk about.
Just
That's a
the
good idea.
jar.
Figures,
Good
yeah.
idea. Yeah, put the jar in there.
Yeah, I will. But yeah, I don't know what to say about Alita. It's just good.
Yeah,
Only
it's fucking amazing. I mean,
say.
yeah, it's pretty much Volume 4. Volume 4 is very focused on Chaos and Den, who are like, yeah, two amazing characters. And then there's Volume 5, which is like,
I still can't wrap my head around that shit.
yeah, it's a shame.
What happened in Volume 5?
Volume 5 is when, okay, so the first half of Volume 5 is like fucking incredible, and that's when she storms Nova's compound and Nova traps her in Ouroboros.
Oh, okay.
That dude,
I think-
there's this part in at the end of that when Nova and Alita are like just talking on the roof of Ito's lab.
Oh,
And-
yeah, that's great.
Yeah, and Nova is like, fuck, like I really don't want to do this. Like I really wish I could just stay here with you. And it's
Like,
just
And then, like,
It's
it immediately
more
just goes to hell.
yeah, it's so powerful. I love
Yeah.
it. And it's just that whole and then like the whole like poetry of it, like in this Ouroboros life, like Nova's the one that finds her body, and it's just like what could have been if Nova like allied with Ito, and like
Yeah.
oh my god, it's incredible. And then
Yeah.
what's interesting about Volume 5 of Alita is, so the first half is this, and then like the weird ass fucking ending of the original manga. The second half, and I didn't even know this existed, is actually a spin-off manga in its entirety. I believe it's like 8 chapters.
What the hell?
And
Wait,
it's
what?
yeah, so it's a spin-off about Motorball. And
Oh yeah, we were
What's
talking.
what's it called?
I think that's the one.
Yeah.
What's
It's
it called?
it's called Ash and
Aisha.
Victor.
No.
Yeah.
Ashen
Yeah,
Victor?
Ash and Victor. Aisha.
Ash and Victor,
Yeah.
Secret Heart and Motorball.
I
This-
found out about that like a week ago.
Yeah, because I was looking at stuff.
This story
Yo,
is
Motorball
incredible.
Diaries from the World. Hell yeah.
Dude,
So how
Maxwell,
we discovered it
you have
was
to
this,
you have to read this.
Yeah,
this
I'm gonna
thing on
add
my
it.
anime list. We're looking. It was like the top series for like mature audiences on my anime list. This was one of the series that came up.
Mhm.
Just Haisha, not even Alita. Haisha.
Yeah, it is like one of the best like really short manga I've ever read.
Yeah.
How long is it?
It's
Like
like
4 chapters.
it's 4 chapters.
Oh, four.
Oh, okay.
Like 4 long chapters. But the idea is, so it's
like-
huh?
I'm pretty sure like what happened was that like after like the ending of Alita happened, the author was just really depressed about it, and he just was like, okay, I'm just gonna make a new series in the same world, and then he did that for a bit. I
Yeah,
think that's how it came.
yeah, I think that's true. And like Ashen Vector is he was actually inspired by Sin City by Frank Miller.
Really?
He
Yo,
wanted to do like
Thanks,
this.
Frank.
He wanted to do like a super dark, super gritty story with like just harsh black and white shading. I mean, like if you skim through Ash and Victor, like just how different it looks from Alita. It reminds me a lot of like the art from the 25th Ward, which is a great Suda 51 game. Just a lot of shadows. It's so striking, but it's
Maybe Frank
basically
Miller did something good for once.
yeah. It is basically about this motorball combatant, and his whole thing is he crashes like spectacularly,
Mhm.
and there's this whole drama of him and like just being in motorball and how it's like kind of driven him like kind of crazy. He's basically just like an ultimate doomer, and he gets kind of wrapped up in this whole thing about like various motorball combatants and like kind of like the trials and tribulations that you go through to like just be able to keep maintaining yourself in a sport like this deprived and crazy. It's just such a
Motorball is Motorball is honestly such a like well thought out and like interesting
Mhm.
sport.
I can't believe they like actually disobey the rules in the final scene of the film.
Well, okay, so in the movie for Alita combines like the Coliseum and motorball. So
Yeah,
they even say in the movie when he says like something like, "Oh, this isn't your average Tuesday match." It's
Oh,
just
that's
like
true.
yeah, it's like implying that like the rules of motorball kind of change on the fly.
Hmm.
yeah.
They're like, "Oh, they're going for blood now." I love how they just like they break
It's just
through the
entertainment. That's
Yeah,
part of
that
what
was
you said
yeah.
sick.
earlier about this is a distraction. It's
Yeah,
meant to be
it's a
entertainment.
distraction. Yeah, and that's like what makes this spin-off story like so good is because like you see like how much these people are pushing themselves and it's like ultimately for nothing than
Yeah.
just like distraction for the masses.
Mhm.
Which is it's so great. Like God, I love Kishido so much. Like I respect the hell out of this man and I'm so happy that like he also respects like Cameron and Rodriguez. Especially since like I'm sure that the movies like brought a lot more attention to his manga. And like we just hope hashtag Alita sequel. Please make it happen.
Please,
Like
It
please.
makes
please.
me it really makes me happy that a creator appreciates what someone else has made for their series because like
Hmm.
another example of the opposite of this happening is the I know you're not a fan of them, but the Witcher series. The creator of the Witcher books hates the games. He thinks they are
Yep.
Hmm.
terrible. He thinks they're like
Yeah.
oh they ruined my work. It's like oh I sold these guys because my books weren't popular or whatever. I sold this game company like dirt cheap and then they made it something special and now
Yeah.
people are actually going out and buying my books.
Stealing.
He was actually so mad about that and
You
I
know
remember
who
hearing about that. That guy's seething.
yeah he is.
you know who else actually like was really involved with the production of the movie and like praised it to no end? Mamoru Oshii for the American Ghost in the Shell.
Really?
Hmm.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Cool cat.
he was like on set and actually I believe because Bateau has a Basset Hound in the movie. I believe Oshii stepped in and was like, "Hey, you need to have a Basset Hound in this movie."
Oh,
Because that's his whole
I
thing.
know the I know the author and Orders for Death and I really love the movie. And
Hmm.
it's like the whole argument of like no movie's bad. It's like okay, if a writer if a writer like Oma is telling you that you did a good job and you interested him, you probably did a good fucking job.
Yeah, well, I remember he said that like he really respected that the movie really did its own thing, and it
Yeah,
really does feel like an American version of Death Note. They adapted the premise like so well to like an American setting with American characters, and I love the way that they still incorporate like Japan into this. Like the fact that he calls himself Kira because he thinks like oh they'll think it's someone in Japan is
yeah.
so smart. And then I love L's like Watari, his like Japanese sidekick, which is funny because
Hmm.
I believe he was Japanese in the manga, was
Mhm.
He was.
American in the anime, and then is back to being Japanese.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because what Nier is American in the
Hmm.
manga, right? Yeah.
yeah.
Which actually, I'm wondering if they, because they're talking about doing a sequel to the Netflix movie. I'm
Mhm.
wondering if they're gonna keep L, because L doesn't die, obviously, and the
Yeah.
movie ended with L having the Death Note. So I'm wondering if they're gonna combine L and Nier into one character.
I think
That'd be good because I think Nier is like the worst part of
No,
Death Note.
Nier's pleb filter.
Nier
nah,
sucks.
Nier's absolute pleb filter.
No,
We'll
he's
yeah.
not. Nier's the loser.
I have nothing to say.
we'll get to this when we do the Death Note episode.
Eric, what
Yeah.
about a Snyder directed Death Note film?
I made a post about this, and I was actually serious. I would love a Snyder directed JoJo movie.
I saw that.
I think Snyder could do Stardust Crusaders like so well, because
I don't
I was
know,
I
man.
was thinking about the OVA, and I was like, this OVA is like kind of reminds me of like Snyder, because it's
Yeah, but Snyder's like art direction is so like anti JoJo.
no,
Yeah.
dude, Man of Steel and Batman v Superman are like so anime.
They're like way too toned down for like.
Well,
Dude,
so
that
is
was-
no.
Dude,
Well,
that-
the OVA was like kind of toned down.
Kind of, but like they still have the designs, you know. Like Jotaro still got his like weird outfit.
I think Zack Snyder could do a really good fucking battle tendency movie.
Imagine Zack Snyder doing Stone Ocean.
I don't think it's hard to
Oh
do.
my god, dude, no. Actually, Snyder would do an amazing Stone Ocean.
Snyder would have a rape scene in Stone Ocean.
Well, no, because I mean, Sucker Punch is like probably one of Sucker Punch and Alita, honestly,
yeah.
are like two of the greatest like actual female empowerment movies ever. And
Mhm.
people fucking hate them. And Alita came out the same time as fucking Captain Marvel, which is like
Yeah.
actually Captain Marvel is an actually just horrible like fucking Air Force propaganda film. Deep, like actually like a
You're
deep
saying
state
it's a
movie.
deep-
No,
Is
it
Captain
actually
Marvel
was.
in, like the Zauer
No,
like
Captain
film verse?
Marvel was actually funded by the U.S. Air Force. Look it up.
That's insane.
Yeah,
So,
Was
so
it-
you're saying Captain Marvel's like on the tier of like Craig Zauer film?
dude, S. Craig Zauer is not deep state. I don't know why.
He's so deep. Brawl
he
of Cell Block
fucking-
99 is
No,
so
he
deep
fucking
state.
isn't. Brawl and Soul Block 99 is so like
So you're
anti-authoritarian.
telling
What the hell are you talking about?
So you're telling me
It's
that
one of-
Captain Marvel is like the real life equivalent of the best Simpsons episode, by the way, where the fucking music video says Yvonne at Neon.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Drop the bomb.
But yeah, I guess that pretty much wraps it up for Alita.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was just I just like love this series. I thought the movie. I mean, I know you have your opinion, Maxwell, but I thought the movie was probably like
And that's so
Yeah,
it's
I
probably like
liked it.
as
I liked it a
as
lot.
good of an American adaptation that we could get. I mean, the
as good of
amount.
an adaptation of anything as it could get.
Yeah, I mean, like the amount of stuff that it kept, and even like stuff from like Last Order, and like stuff that like is planning like way far ahead of the series, like farther than honestly Kishido even could at the time.
Yeah.
Is just so impressive, and it's like you could tell that Rodriguez, Cameron, Salazar, like all these people believed so hard in this series and like in this like vision that they had, and it's just like so wonderful that like once in a lifetime to have like this huge blockbuster movie like have this much soul, and then Disney bought 20th Century Fox. Alita was the last 20th Century Fox movie, and all hopes yeah, and all hopes for a sequel are now in the hands of Disney. So
Oh, she's a Disney princess now, though.
Dude, it's actually like a genuine injustice that a movie like Alita Battle Angel exists and people still won't fucking watch it because her eyes are too big.
yeah, oh my
You have
god.
to watch Captain Fungal.
Captain Fungal. Oh my
Yeah, you
god.
know why.
Yeah,
you all know.
I know why. I know why. Oh my
Alright.
god.
Is that for any
That's
last
it. That's it for Alita. Yeah.
Alright.
Um,
I guess let's go into the
Now-
roundup.
Now, oh my god, this is gonna be such a long episode because this is again an amazing week for sure.
So I want to say this first. We're gonna start with One Piece because that's like the cover issue.
Yeah.
Okay,
One Piece
yeah, that's
is
fair.
back. Is next week we're gonna be talking about One Piece again because it's another chapter in 7 days. This
Oh
is the
my
first
God.
time in like a month when
I'm
we've had
so
like
happy.
Okay.
oh
Right off
Okay,
the bat,
really-
One Piece has like such an amazing cover spread
yeah.
Yeah,
this
I love
issue.
that.
Amazing cover spread, amazing final page.
Yeah,
Like,
that is
Big
an-
things, literally
Apologize.
big things
All
are
right.
coming.
All right.
Okay. I want Maxwell and I want Eric to apologize to me on air right now.
I'm
not
sorry,
apologizing for
I'm
anything.
sorry,
I
Arda.
heard.
So for context, we said in our One Piece chat, like, Arda believed that Marco was gonna have a really big role in Wano, because like,
Oh
no,
yeah,
no,
we both laughed at.
because he was saying like,
In
oh,
my
he was saying like Marco's really cool, and I was like, yeah, but he hasn't done anything yet.
And then like this was like the beginning of May. I said something like, "Give it a few chapters, give it a few weeks," and
Well,
these two,
1 month
Mr.
later.
Goatie's typing, "Oh shit!" These two, haha, reacted my message, and lo and behold, a month later, we got Marco. I want an apology from both of you.
I'm sorry. I
Yeah, I'm
fully
sorry, Marco's
apologize.
too based.
All right, so now that Arda can see the future, I want you to predict the next arc of One Piece.
No,
Right
I
now.
want you to predict who's gonna be the next Straw Hat, and it's gonna be Carrot.
The next Straw
Yeah.
Hat.
No,
Carrot.
I don't want it to be Carrot.
Yeah, Carrot's cute.
He doesn't
Filter.
What? Go simp after you're underage. Carrot.
I didn't say. I just said she was cute. You can't prove anything.
All right, I just want to say right now,
You
you're in
want
our
me
little
to
chat, and
post the
Mr.
chat
Goatee
logs of
himself
you
is,
asking me how old Carrot was and then yelling,
get
Shut up.
some,
well, 15 in rabbit years?
I mean, yeah, they're different years. Animals age differently.
funny.
Just saying.
I'd rather have Pedro. Pedro's too cool.
Pedro is very cool, but he's not gonna. Dude, he's not gonna be a fucking Straw
No.
Hat. Come on.
I think Pedro.
We need a mink Straw Hat, and it will be Carrot. We need representation. The Straw Hats need more diversity. There's too many humans.
Okay, shoutouts to Mr. Goatee. He's typing in our Discord.
Oh, what?
check Talk Boys right now.
He likes Alita.
Amazing chapter of One Piece. I do have a gripe. Not really a gripe. It's kind of a disappointment. And that's we finally get to see what the numbers look like. And they're just kind of like big giants.
Yeah.
And like
Okay.
I don't know, like when we first saw like the silhouette of them, it was like, what the fuck are these things?
Mhm.
And they're just like giants, and I don't know, like giants with horns, I guess.
Yeah.
That's like such a nitpick, though. I mean, I'm sure when we saw barely anything of them in this chapter, I'm sure they'll be cool.
I mean, most of Kaido's henchman's design is kind of just like BSDM leather with horns.
Yeah, but yeah, that's true. It's just like the page of seeing the numbers for the first time like actually like kind of scared me, and
Yeah.
just seeing them outside of the silhouette is just kind of like
Underwhelming.
yeah.
It's very underwhelming.
Yeah, I mean, give it time. We'll see how they are as characters. Speaking of like characters that are like, revealed finally, the opposite reaction for me, finally Smoothie is gonna do something.
Yeah, you've been hating on me for months because I've said Smoothie was the best character to come out of Whole Cake. She's like, Smoothie doesn't do anything.
Yeah,
No,
she
Smoothie's
didn't
bait.
fucking do anything. Like, she's
Latent
hot.
energy, dude.
She's like,
Latent energy.
Don't get me wrong, she's hot as hell. She's like definitely one of the hottest characters in One Piece, but like,
Hell
yeah, I mean, I'm excited to finally see her do something. Yeah, just a great chapter overall. There is a controversy I want to address though with the Viz translation. And that is the possibility that they censored something with Sanji.
Really?
Yeah, so in the Viz translation, when they go to the red light district, and Sanji goes into the building and he comes out, and they say he looks sad that he didn't see any women. Apparently, it's supposed to say he didn't see any prostitutes.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
it's a whorehouse.
Yeah.
Yeah. They literally called a brothel. I don't know why they had to censor that.
I mean, I wouldn't count that as censoring. You already know it's a.
You know what a pleasure center is.
You know
it's
there's a
for the
huge
kids.
there's a
It's for the
huge no,
kids.
but there's a huge difference between like someone being sad because he didn't see any women and then someone being sad because he didn't see any prostitutes. Now this is this is controversial because Sanji has said before that like he like actually like really loves women, but then I guess like with the prostitute thing, it kind of has this implication that like that was like just a pure like lust moment for him. Where it's just like it's kind of out of character. Like yeah, Sanji lusts, but he also like actually like has a huge respect for women. And it's just kind of weird that he would like actually want to see a prostitute like that.
Women are women, dude.
Dude, the chopper panel's so good.
Oh
I
yeah,
know.
I
have a picture for it. It's like you know that meme of the guy. It's like the black guy. He sees something and he's like backing his car up. It's like him wearing.
I saw that.
Big Mom.
That was
That's
great.
such a good panel.
I
Wait, is
know.
that big? That's Big Mom? Am I an idiot? I
Yeah,
didn't
Yeah,
realize
dude,
that.
that's Big Mom.
Yeah, she's been getting ready for like the past few chapters for the party.
Yeah, dude. It's a great chapter. I'll say that.
Yeah.
Like, it just besides like
Wait,
those couple problems, it was just a great chapter.
wait. Did Chopper even know that Big Mom was on the island?
Yeah,
Yeah, remember?
Yeah.
Okay.
They know about the Alliance.
Yeah.
Just because, like, imagine like your fucking face if you just randomly see like one of the most powerful people on
yeah. I mean, there was also that part where she had amnesia.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Which was awful, by the way.
Yeah.
It was actually
It was
terrible.
funny. It was funny.
course.
But
It didn't
whatever.
like lead to anything.
Yeah.
it was really just to get Big Mom from point A to point B. That's
Yeah.
all it really
Yeah.
did. Oh well.
Yeah.
It would have been funny if she actually stayed with amnesia for the rest of the series. That actually
No,
would be a little interesting.
nah. So yeah, I guess that about covers it for One Piece.
All right.
Unless you have anything to
Next
say.
up is
Are we gonna
Dr.
go?
Stoner?
Oh,
Promise Neverland.
I thought we were gonna go alphabet, or if you want to get Promise Neverland out of the way, sure. So this is basically
can't comment on
becoming a recurring segment on this podcast where I just like
The gift that keeps on giving.
loudly complain about Promise Neverland. So I will say this is actually probably like one of the best chapters in a long time, but it's still fucking awful. So
You know what? I have my pasta in front of me. I'm just gonna relax, sit back, and enjoy this while I eat my lunch. Take it
so
away.
this new Promise Neverland chapter, chapter 180, it's called Your Everything. So remember how 2 weeks ago I was like, there's no fucking way that there was no promise, right? When she makes the promise of the demon and the demon's like, I'm gonna take something in return, but then Emma's like, but then he said that he didn't have to because we suffered so much. Well, ding ding ding, no fucking surprise, she was lying. So what was the big thing that she had to give him? What could it be? It had to be something huge, right? Well,
Your other ear.
he says, the thing that I want is your family.
Your pussy.
And
She doesn't
so,
have a family.
well, the kids and stuff. So then Emma is like, does that mean you want to kill and eat my family? And then he's like, no, I can't do that because part of your promise is you want them all to be safe. So I can't do that. And so it's like, okay. He's like, yeah, you will all be able to go into the human world. It's totally fine. And it's like, okay, now here's the catch. You're not gonna have any memories of your family. That was the big fucking reveal. And so Emma is somewhere, we don't really know where yet, and she's found by this old man, who honestly is like a pretty cool design just because I like old people. I know that sounds weird. Like old people are base. They're such filter. But this like old guy saves Emma, and she's like, "Where am I? I don't know who I am." And yeah, it's
Can I just say that, like, I think a really bad plot device that so many
yep, amnesia.
do, especially in anime, is
Yeah, it's awful.
amnesia at the end. I hate that plot device.
It's so bad. It's just the laziest fucking writing ever.
Yeah,
And
Joe Jolien uses amnesia to like.
well, yeah, it
really-
uses amnesia well because that's been there since the very beginning.
Mhm.
And we've reached a point in JoJolion where it no longer matters because Gappy is like,
No. Okay. Amnesia in the beginning, amnesia like in the beginning of the series is based. I'm just talking about like you'll never remember that any of this happened. I'm talking about that.
yeah.
I think that's dumb. I think that doesn't.
The worst example of that is Phantom Planet from Danny Phantom, where it's like you have this like world-ending shit, and like Danny has all this growth in his relationship with all these people, and then it's all just wiped. I hate Fairly Odd Parents did that too so many times. It's awful. But yeah, so she's like, "Oh, I don't know where I am," blah blah blah, and the guy's like, "It's okay, you can live with me. We're friends." So then so a couple months pass, and she's just chilling. But when she goes
and the guy says, "Oh,
you have to
welcome
eat
to your
these eggs.
Neverland."
Oh no, he doesn't say that. But oh, never mind. So it's only been 1 month, and it says here 1 month later. So Emma, when she falls asleep, she has dreams, of every character in the series calling her name. That includes Isabella, who is dead. I forgot his name already, but he was dead also. The demon girl and all of her quote unquote family. They're all, and Norman and Ray and everyone, they're all just calling Emma. And she's like, "Who's Emma? But this feels good. This feels warm. Perhaps this is heaven. How nice." And then she wakes up. And apparently she has this dream often. Um, then she goes and meets the old man outside. And this is the best moment in the chapter, I think. I will give it credit. It's like this mass grave of these like massive crucifixes. And she's like, "What is this?" And he just says, "They're my family." And he talks about like how they were all lost in the war, and I thought, oh yeah, there was a war. It would have been interesting if we could see that, because when the children go to the human world, it's like, oh yeah, there was a war, but everything's fixed now and we're all happy and there's no more borders in the world. I appreciate that we get to see like some of the casualties and like the effect that it had on the people themselves. Even if the world is quote unquote better now, people are still kind of haunted by this past. But then that being said, we never get to see that past, so it's like kind of pointless. Also, it doesn't help that we met this guy like 2 pages ago. Uh,
I wonder if it's if the author just really dropped the ball, or if it just jumps like, okay, finish your series. This last few like months have been terrible. Please, I'm
yeah,
curious now. So
I mean, it's
yeah,
still selling hotcakes, so I don't think it's jumped.
so probably not.
yeah, and then
Like, there's
but
like
then
a
like this
screenplay.
this scene only exists to propel the story forward, because then the guy's like, "I bet if your family was alive, you'd want to see them, huh?" And she's like, "I don't know. I don't remember them. I try to remember, but I can't." And then she starts crying and she's like, "I don't understand why, but it like makes me sad." But then like the next page, she's like, "Yeah, I know I won't regain my memory, but I'm okay with that. And now I'm happy." And then she's like, "And I stopped having those dreams of all those people." And
Oh my god.
and she's just walking through town happy, and then that's how the chapter ends.
See you next week for the final chapter.
Yeah, next week is the final chapter. It's like, what was the fucking point of this chapter? Because like you
Wait,
start
Promise
off,
Neverland's ending next week.
yeah.
Oh
So
my
God,
you, you
finally.
you start off and you're like, oh, okay, she doesn't have any memories anymore. Then she has these like memories told through her dreams, but then she stops caring.
Yes,
And
the chapter's pointless. That's it.
and it's like, what the fuck was the point of this? Like, this can't get wrapped up. This can't. Like, what? I I don't get it. That's the end of my rants for Promised Neverland. Just like this series is just, it just doesn't do it anymore. It's
I'm just going through the chapter, just how the site has it laid out for like chapter by chapter. So it's in One Piece Promise Neverland. Next, me and Arda is up. It's My Hero.
oh yeah, you do that. I'm gonna go to the
Yeah.
bathroom.
Good chapter.
Okay.
Arda. Good chapter. Really, I was really happy with the chapter because it's literally just Shigaraki realizing that, yeah, I gotta go after One for All, and
I need to get one for all. Yeah.
we gotta get One for All, and then
Okay, hold on,
Endeavor
real
here
quick,
is like One for All.
Hold on, real quick. Does Shigaraki know that Deku's the one with one for all?
No, but he because remember he has the search quirk that was stolen from one of the pussycats, and because
Yeah.
she comes up, she's like, oh, I wish I had my quirk, so he's using that quirk to locate
Mhm.
One for All, but he
Yeah.
doesn't know Deku has One for
Yeah,
All.
I love it. Like Deku's just down there shitting himself, and he's like, "I need to get away." And I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bakugo once again being like the actual like, most developed character in the show, just because like he's like, "Okay, I understand. You need to do what you need to do. Go out there."
And he's like, I'm gonna help you,
Mm-hmm.
and then everyone's like, worried for
And
Deku.
also the fact that like apparently Deku just has Endeavor's private line on speed dial.
Yeah. It's like, okay, permission to use it, sir. And he's like,
Oh, I guess because he did I guess because he did train him for a while, so that would make sense. But yeah,
it was a good
He
chapter
says-
because it sets up more stakes. Like,
yeah,
honestly, this is really feeling like a final arc for My Hero, but I know it's not. It's
it's
not.
not even close, baby.
I know, but it's like setting up so much. It's like, oh crap. There's
Just watch. It's gonna hit you with that. It's gonna either be like end of Act 1 or like fucking a step further. After this, it's just gonna
Dude, do you
say
think how this is gonna end? Do you think Deku's gonna get his quirk stolen, and he has to get one for all back? I mean, he's gonna have to be a hero.
Okay, what if what would you do if just at the end of this arc he just My Hero Academia prologue and how hard would you shit yourself?
I would go, what the fuck? Dude, this arc is so good. I seriously think My Hero's been on a rising streak.
Yeah, I'm gonna start My Hero, and literally the only reason why is because my girlfriend sent me a picture of like a girl from it, and it's like I kind of want to cosplay her, and I was like, yes, please.
I wouldn't mind a My Hero episode. That'd be awesome. We get Hector on that.
I don't know the character's name or anything, but she kind of looks. She's like buff muscle mommy rabbit. Okay.
Mirko.
Yeah, she's hot.
She got some really good fights like in this arc.
Wait, she's not like a student at the school, right?
No, she's a pro.
Oh,
she's like number.
Oh, thank God.
She's like hero number like 3 or 4 or something like that.
No, she's in the top 10. She's in the top 10.
Okay.
And like this is her arc basically.
Yeah, it's been an interesting endeavor. Then her for a bunch of chapters fighting, and she has. You get to see freaking her little lips of her. You know what?
Oh my God! Dude, speaking of like. Sorry, go ahead.
Horikoshi legit said in one of his like notes from one of those chapters that like I want to draw another 50 chapters of Mirko just fighting, but I know I can't do that because I have to make the plot progress.
Oh my God. Are you guys done talking about My Hero?
Yeah, we are.
Okay, so speaking of, I ruined the segue by asking that question, but speaking of like hot girls and heroes, new One Punch Man chapter, fantastic chapter. It's Tatsum. I'm not gonna talk too much about it, but it's Tatsumaki / Tornado versus Psychos. Lot of really hot art of Psychos and Tatsumaki. I believe Psychos has like the largest breast size of any character Murata's ever drawn.
And mention the lolly thing about Murata.
Oh, okay, yeah. So so Maxwell and I were like, we got into like a quasi like argument. It was like for the lulz though. I don't know if he's here right now, but Maxwell, hey, you here?
He's here in spirit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, there you are. So I was like simping over Tatsumaki, and I was like, you know what? I think I finally like her more than Blizzard. And he was like, oh yeah, you're a heeb. And I was like, what are you talking
about my comment?
Yeah, and I was like, what are you talking about? She's like 29. And then like we were like shit posting, you know, but like people actually got
so mad.
Yeah, people got like really involved. And
that shows you who the real pedophiles are, because like I just like threw a joke at you and like 80 people came at me. I hadn't even addressed anything.
Yeah, because I mean like it is a shame though, because it is like a sentiment a misconception a lot of people have about Tatsumaki is they just like assume that she's a lolly. Just because
anime's fault.
Yeah, I agree. The anime draws her like really like young looking. Because the thing is,
it's because of the anime, and it's because of the fucking scene when Saitama says, "Who is this sassy lost child?"
I remember that too.
Which is a great scene. But
yeah, it's a great scene. I mean, because it's a joke. I mean, like she's 4'9". Like, she's small, but I think she has a mature body. I mean, it's okay. So it's defined, yeah, and it's not the lolly body type like at all. The lolly body type is like creepy, like pedo shit.
Yeah, as fuck, yeah.
Yeah, and there's actually a funny thing that like one of Murata have said is that like they spent a lot of time drawing Tatsumaki's ass because they're like upset that people think like they qualify her as a lolly when she isn't. She's a mature short woman. That's it. They exist. And like, fucking hentai has like ruined people's minds that like every girl has to be this like 7-foot dom like muscle mommy like
That's not what he wants.
Like,
we'll get to that when we talk about Dr. Stone. We'll get to that when we talk about Dr. Stone.
Oh my god, yeah. But yeah,
hold on.
But yeah, like there's women that look like there's full-grown women that look like Tatsumaki. Like she's not I mean, like, there's people in the thread were saying like, flat is justice. I wouldn't even say that she's flat, really.
No.
I mean, like she's defined. She's. I mean, everything about her is just small. Like that's the whole thing.
Yeah.
No, she's a great.
I like the other post you made more, the milk truck post. That was better.
Wait, which one was that?
What was the other post you made that I commented milk truck on?
Was it
Oh,
One Punch
get
Man?
to that. We'll get to that. We'll get
Yeah, I
to
think that was
that.
One Punch Man.
Oh, was it Dr. Stone?
It was A Gravity Boys.
Oh, A Gravity Boys. Oh,
That,
yeah,
we'll save
yeah.
that for last. We're saving that for last.
Wow, for last, really?
Because that's the last one on the
God, this
new
this is like the Simp episode, huh? Because like
Yeah,
Alita, Tatsumaki, fucking A Gravity Boys, Chainsaw Man, I guess. Man.
Not really happening, Chainsaw Man. Nothing sexual. So.
Well, not like sexual, but it was like cute.
Yeah. But
But
next.
wait, I wanted to say a little bit more about One Punch Man. It was actually kind of interesting. Speaking of Tatsumaki, we get a little bit of her backstory, and I thought it's literally one panel with no dialogue, but the moment that it appears in, it was just like really good for a character. And then Psychos combines with the heart of Orochi and becomes like this massive monster. And then the greatest part of this chapter is the end when King tells Tatsumaki that because this whole arc is they're trying to save this little boy, and Tatsumaki has been holding back because she's so powerful she could probably destroy this entire area. And then King says, "Hey, by the way, we got the kid out." And then she's like, "Ah, finally, now I can stop holding back." And it's a great end of the chapter. Like, I mean, like with One Punch Man, there's not really much to say. It's just you're in it for the good arts, you're in it for the good action.
I don't know how this guy can put this much, like, just 2 weeks.
Yeah.
It takes him 2 weeks to do it, and he does this amount of effort into, like, dude,
It's unbelievable. Murata is like actually a god.
And I don't think he has stress or anything. He seems to like work at his own pace. He's just able to do it. And that's awesome.
Huge respect, yeah. No one draw like the best. I mean, I've said this before, but the best mangakas that draw like the best women, Murata, Boichi, and Oda, like 100%. That's the Holy Trinity.
Yeah, I agree. What's next? Time Paradox. Good little chapter. We get to see how like editors work. We're introduced to the new editor characters, and they're I like all three of them because they're all very different.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, is that her name? I know. Yeah, she's an editor now too, which I was not seeing.
Yeah, that was really surprising.
And she's like, I dropped out of school for this. My attendance record.
Yeah, I'm like, dude, what? Like,
Time Paradox Ghostwriter is really refreshing because for once the main girl is the best girl.
You know, I mean, she's like the only girl right now, but
yeah,
I am a little concerned about her character because if she stays like this, she's gonna be like really annoying. I think personally.
I don't know. I kind of don't like that. I kind of don't like that she's just so okay with.
Yeah, no, I agree. I hope this like leads to something.
There's
soon.
gonna be a catch. There has to be a catch.
I do really like Tepe as a character though. Like how he's like, no, this isn't good enough. This is like a fucking insult to the work that I'm plagiarizing.
Yeah,
there was.
If I'm gonna plagiarize it, it needs to be.
It's like honor among thieves.
Yeah, I did really like that.
I love the final page where she's like, "It's perfect," and he's still so upset, and he rips up the draft.
Yeah. There's actually like a funny thing. Okay, so the guy that writes this, his name is Kenji Ichima, and because they do like the chapter previews or whatever, and the way he described this chapter, he made it sound like it was actually like that he was canceling his series, that like he was fed up, he thought it wasn't perfect, he couldn't plan out the series, and he ripped the manuscripts, and like that's actually what happens in this chapter. But it caused like a shitstorm on A because there's people that actually thought he was being serious and that the series was ending. I have like mad respect to that guy for pulling off a stunt like that. That's really funny.
I'm wondering how long it's going to be because that was the editor. I wonder how long it's going to be till they discover the microwave.
Yeah, I mean, like obviously, like this character, she's like building to something. Like it's like artist said, it's too good to be true.
Because right now we have the three editors. We have a bit of a hothead. We have an older, like senior, and then we have this other guy who's like, he only says he doesn't talk a lot.
I like that guy. That guy's my favorite because all these other guys are like, oh my god, you're so great, and this guy all he says is, I respect you. I love that.
I care about those guys like as characters, but I think their chemistry together is really good. Like whenever he just does something, and then they're like, I can do better than that. I like the little chemistry they have in the studio.
Yeah, very good. I just think Time Paradox is still looking up. It's like getting better and better pretty much every chapter at this point. I just hope it can keep this train rolling.
Speaking of getting better and better, let's talk about something that is not getting better and better.
Bone Collection?
Oh, sure. There's a lot of options for that, but yeah. Bone Collection,
I really don't
still
want to talk about Bone Collection. What a fucking like I've been saying that this series wasn't good, and then in the last episode I was like, okay, maybe the next chapter will be good. No.
yeah, Bone Collection is like one step forward, like 1,000 steps back for me. It's like I like the relationship between the main characters. I think the girl is cute. I like the comedy, but it's just boring, dude. There's just nothing interesting about it.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's to say.
And then
Boring
you were comparing it to Soul Eater also with this chapter. Like
Yeah,
for you to explain more.
fucking skull thing, the little fucking skull thing that like appears on the girl's chest when he grabs that sword. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, okay. Come on.
I mean, like you're saying like the chemistry is good. I really didn't like how it was this chapter. I thought he was like being like too much, like way too much of a shithead.
Yeah,
And he's like, no, I don't want to use your bones. No.
it's dumb, I guess.
Speaking of other series,
And like I'm not done yet. I understand why ultimately that he says that. Like I get it, but it's just like this character's just not interesting. I don't like rooting for him, you know?
yeah, I get it. I just wanted to go slightly off topic just to say like a few words. None of us are reading it, but Blue Exorcist this week just reached its 10th anniversary. I want to say congratulations
The
to that.
one time you need Colin on the podcast, he's not here.
So I think for next episode we'll just have maybe Colin give us his thoughts on Blue Exorcist. But I just wanted to go ahead and say like congratulations on
Yeah,
10 years.
Yeah, let's go. Yeah.
We'll
I mean,
start eventually. Yeah, we'll get to it
yeah,
eventually.
I mean, I know one of my friends is apparently in the dub, and I actually went to the the premiere of one of the movies was at Anime Expo, and I didn't know anything about it. I just went because my friends wanted to go, but I liked what I saw. So
Yeah. So, just wanted to go and set that out because that is a big part of Jump right now, and I think good job.
I'm actually I didn't know Blue Exorcist was still going on. So
Yeah, it's weird. It's like a month long. I don't know.
Okay, I want to get this one out of the way real quick
Okay.
before we get into the other good shit.
yeah.
I was like telling these guys a bit earlier that I have a lot to say about Mori King,
Yeah.
and I think this new chapter kind of alleviated that to an
Should I
extent.
start more King? Is it worth it?
Okay,
We're gonna talk
Okay.
about that right now.
Okay.
I think this new chapter was probably the best chapter of Mori King.
Yes.
It was actually kind of funny. I liked seeing Mori King get shot by the police, get arrested.
Yeah, okay. So I brought this up when I was reading it. I was like, dude, this chapter is literally like all cops are bad. Like,
Yeah.
how fucking appropriate for this time, because this chapter is about King being confronted by the cops. It's like,
Yeah.
wow.
Eric, can you
Okay.
add some of your notes real quick? Add down. We need to talk about the new 4 series at the end.
Yeah, we will. Okay. So that was a good chapter. Whatever. I think the best gag was just him going like, "How old are you?" and he just says 1, and then the police just fucking loses it. Okay, I thought that was pretty alright, but not taking this chapter into account, I think that Mori King is probably the worst manga I've ever read. It's okay.
Ooh.
It's not that it's shit. It's just that there's a huge absence of good in it. Like, okay, like Samurai 8, that's just shit.
I understand what you
That-
mean. Like, sometimes it's better to read something that's like really shitty versus something that's really mediocre.
It's
Like
boring.
fucking Samurai 8 is shit, but it stuck with me. But Mori King, like the moment I finished the chapter, I don't remember what the fuck I just read.
Yeah.
And every chapter, it's the same formula of, okay, it's the girl being like fucking pissy. She's like Ken's from Phineas and Ferb.
hmm
And then every chapter they have to like fucking do a little introduction of all the characters because I don't know, I guess this is like geared towards the youngest of youngins reading Shonen Jump or something.
Yeah, it's.
I don't know, is that the case? Is it like geared towards like really little kids?
Really seems like it.
I don't know.
But
I
yeah,
feel like
it's
that
just like
upcoming robot series, is whatever it's called, is going to be a better series for little kids.
Oh,
than
It's so
yeah, like-
surreal to me that like apparently like 4chan A like loves this series. I'm like, why?
it has potential and like I
They
like
don't have taste, so
it has like potential and I like Mori King as a character. I think it's a cool concept. I like how he acts. You know, he acts really what do you call it, like regal, I guess,
Mhm.
really proper, kingly, if you will. And I guess that's cool. It's just it's nothing hits, and every single time I read this, and I just like feel like I wasted my time.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
That's how I am with this. That's how I am with Bone Collection, and that's like
yeah,
kind of how I am with Guardian of the Witch.
yeah.
Guardian of the Witch, it's not that it's like bad. It's just it's so like been there, done that.
It's uninspired. I
Yeah,
like it a lot. I like it a lot. It just doesn't do anything new though.
I guess we can talk about Guardian of the Witch a
Yeah.
little bit. I mean,
Mid stuff out of the way.
Okay, there's a rumor that it's gonna end in issue 29, which is like 2 weeks from now.
I believe it.
So it might end 2 weeks from now, which is like whatever. I just hope that the author, artist, whatever the fuck. I wish them the best of luck because that's a good style. That's a damn good style.
Yeah, I think it looks.
Like,
Yeah, similar
like
to
even
the
if
Zipman guy. Good artist.
Yeah.
Amazing artist, actually.
yeah,
Yeah, Zipman's art was great. There's just the part like I really hated is just like he punches the guy and then like, straight up Luffy moment. He just says, "I just wanted to
Yeah.
punch you because you pissed me
Yeah.
off," and it's
and
like,
like that's
bruh.
cool. It's like that's really cool. But I saw Luffy do that like 20 times. You know, I saw Luffy do that to like pretty much every bad guy that he comes across.
Yeah,
It reminds me of a quote. It's like draw something. Yeah, just from Time Paradox. Draw something.
Paradox, draw something only you can.
Yeah. And Time Guardian of the Witch feels like something that anyone could write.
yeah, and then like this guy Cloud like is like the most like typical like by shonen character like ever. You know, like
Yeah.
he's got like the stuffy like military suit and everything. And then
Well, I'll say this though. What was the guy that was just like out to get them that entire arc? That like old guy.
oh,
I just
actually,
really,
yeah.
I just really like that. That chapter ended with him getting arrested for tax evasion.
Yeah, actually, yeah, that's what happened.
Yeah.
And maybe Guardian of the Witch isn't so bad after all.
I forgot about
Yeah.
that. I completely. It says right here, the town guardians arrested Rector Hugo for misappropriation of tax money,
Oh my god.
and we were told that they were going to start considering reforming the town's entire tax code. That's just, it's so fucking random. That is like, that's so similar to like a like three like well super heat action move from Judgment, where it's like you defeat the guy by knocking him into a Yakuza's car. The guy gets mad, kicks the car, the Yakuza come out, grab him, shove him into the car, and then drive him off, and then the fight just ends. It reminded me of that. It's just such a like inconsequential conclusion for this guy that they've been fighting. And it's like it's just like what
I
the
love
fuck?
shit like that.
Yeah.
I love shit like that.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
See, like moments like that, I can fully appreciate. Like that's why I wouldn't say I hate Guardian of the Witch. It's just it
Yeah.
really needs its own identity, which it just like
Yeah.
has struggled with doing for so long
Yeah.
now. I mean, we're at chapter 17 already. It doesn't even feel like it, honestly. It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. It honestly just feels like it doesn't feel like 17 chapters. It feels like half of that, honestly.
Yeah. And then like a series that I started recently, Mission Yozakura Family, it like kind of has that problem too, where it's just like it's so similar in concept to Spy X Family, which is this like amazing manga that I can't recommend enough. I actually just bought the first volume, and it's
Nice.
beautiful. Thank you, Viz, for that. But so this one is like it's cute. I like it because I mean I say this every time, and it's
Family
just like
values.
it's family values. It's nice to have a Shonen Jump series
Oh
that
my
is
god.
because correct me if I'm wrong. Spy X Family is not Shonen Jump, right?
It's the bi-weekly jump. I
Yeah.
think it's Ultra
Okay.
It's Shonen Jump Plus, which is
Mag-
like it's the same.
or something. I don't remember.
Oh.
Shonen Jump Plus is like My Hero Vigilantes, and like that's where Fire Punch was.
Oh, I see.
published.
Okay. Yeah. So I mean,
Also, I'm really
it's
fucking
nice.
sorry about my neighbor crying.
Yeah. It's
He's crying because we're talking about shitty series.
Yeah,
Talking about
artist neighbor guests on the podcast in the future. But yeah, like it's just the cute like married couple as the protagonist is great. But I love this chapter was hilarious. I think this is probably the funniest chapter yet. And it's like this guy, and he's like, I'm so inconsequential to everyone that like no one pays attention to me, and therefore I'm the best like person to be a spy. And he just does like such little asshole things. Like he swaps this guy's like manga out in class with like a hentai book, just so everyone,
Devilish.
yeah, just like everyone can make fun of him.
Devilish.
And it's like
Lock him.
he's
Somebody
jealous.
needs to lock him up and throw away the key.
He's jealous of the MC because he's already married, and he's like, I've talked to her once, and the only thing he did was like go when he picked up her eraser for him, and it's hilarious. And then like the MC kind of confronts him, and he actually is able to like basically turn invisible just because he's so like unspectacular and unnoticeable. That was like really funny. It was just a
He
cute
turns
chapter.
into a pickle.
It was a cute chapter. Like I'm keeping up with the series. I'm not regretting it. It's not like anything great.
I think it sells well in Japan.
Yeah,
It was
I mean,
I think the newest volume was like in the top like.
The
20.
newest volume sold out.
wow, really?
It
Well,
might
that's
be a
cool.
short print, but
Yeah, that's cool though. But that's pretty much all I need to say about it. It's a cute series. I'll keep reading it.
See what's let's talk about Dr. Stone.
okay.
Ooh,
Dr. Stone.
Dr. Stone.
Bad bitch.
Oh, I can finally talk now about Dr. Stone.
Yeah, dude, this was
Yeah.
I love like they basically invent Sid Meier's Civilization at the beginning.
No, I think it was
Yeah.
it's not Civilization. I think it was like Go. No, what's that game called? Risk.
wait.
I think they're playing Risk.
No, that's not Risk.
No, this is no,
Risk.
it's Catan, Eric. They're playing Catan.
Oh yeah. They're playing Catan. Yeah.
Dude, I can't believe that the infamous Dr. Zeno's first name is Stan.
Yeah.
That's
What
funny.
kind of name is that?
He's Stan the man.
Stanley
Yeah.
Zeno.
Stan the man.
Stanley. No, yeah, Stanley Snyder. Chad.
Mhm.
That's his name. Yeah, Stanley Snyder.
Do you think he's related to Dan
Yeah.
Schneider?
Yeah. I like how he's just like, how are you gonna defeat these guys? And he just says, I can't.
Yeah, I love
Don't
that.
ask. Don't ask.
He can get it done.
They're really like revving up gears in this arc. We're going like head first and like a huge
Yeah,
competition.
we're getting
Stan, he's
next.
our man. If you can't do it, no one can.
Yeah, dude, like this next chapter is gonna be assassin versus assassin. It's gonna be
Yeah.
fucking awesome. We have this like
It's gonna be
muscle.
spy
We have
versus
this
spy.
muscle
Like-
mommy also.
Compared to the last arc on the island, like we're getting into the action immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the island
Because the
really
island's
took
dragging
its
on
time.
forever.
This one
Yeah.
this is going to be actually probably shorter like confrontation than the whole island arc. So
Yeah, dude, I'm so excited.
Dude,
And-
what are they gonna?
get excited.
Okay.
Yeah, get excited.
Something I just like randomly noticed earlier today was like, you know what I think is gonna be what gives them away is like Stan or like whoever they send is gonna see Senku's shirt has like E equals MC
Yeah,
square
yeah,
on it,
I'm
and he's gonna be
excited.
like,
No, it's
he's
gonna
gonna be like, he's
what
gonna be
is
like, wait a fucking minute, what does this fucking moron
It's
have,
like, no,
have that?
he always forgets that because they're gonna probably set up him as the idiot, and Taiju's gonna be the smart guy. We've talked about this before the podcast. I love when they're like, Doctor Taiju, they're gonna try to assassinate him, and he's doing the pose like Senku's
From
iconic.
Volume 1.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Volume
that
1.
was so great. Also, I just want to like bring attention to Boichi, and he's been drawing Minami like really like
Yeah,
oh boy,
Oh,
the beginning.
dude. Oh my god, there's this one panel where she's
cannot
like
be
looking
stopped.
down, and you can see just like her like belly button through
He
her
cannot be
clothing, and it's
stopped.
like wow.
Shonen Jump cannot
So
fucking
who's the
handle
assassin
that.
team? It's Tsukasa, or you?
Suika.
Suika. Yeah, Suika. That was the one that got me. Like, yo,
Yeah.
and Detective Suika back at it again. I love Suika. Suika's so adorable.
Oh yeah,
love-
Suika's really cute. I love her stupid apple thing that she wears on her head.
It's like a mellow.
It's a fucking watermelon. That's why her name is
Oh
Suika.
yeah, it's a watermelon. I forgot.
love her.
If my name was Sloppy Joe, I would have called you. You know what I would have called you right now on air. Not gonna say it.
Oh,
An episode
Uh-huh.
saying a certain word. Congrats!
Yeah.
I didn't say that
The
last.
forbidden word.
Yeah, let's keep it going.
Yeah. So yeah, this is just a great chapter. Like it's just this arc is it's just I'm super excited to see how they're gonna turn this thing into an airship carrier.
So while that's going on, there's going to be a little fight going on. So that gives us like a good like back and forth
Mhm.
fight. Look forward to.
Yeah.
I hope we get more screen time for Yo, because like he's
Yeah.
way cool.
His design
He's one
is
of my
awesome.
favorite characters.
Cop. Oh, he's the cop. Oh no.
Oh no!
Uh-oh.
No,
Oh, I
Uh-oh.
didn't think
He's
about
Well,
that.
remember
Maybe
he's
they
he's
should
he's
keep
like a
him in the back.
trigger happy cop. Remember he was like, "Oh yeah,
He's
I
a cop
love
and he's
shooting."
in America.
worse, even
Okay,
worse.
maybe they
Yeah,
should
he's in
leave him
America
be
right now.
him.
Oh my
It's,
god.
Would be a
It's not.
mistake.
It's not. All right, let's just go ahead and get into Chainsaw Man next.
Yeah, Chainsaw Man.
I-
Yeah.
Very
Soul.
You know,
Soul.
I can't really describe why, but I just loved this chapter. Like it's
Comfy
I
chapter.
loved it so much. That's pretty much all I can say. Is just I loved it.
Our friend
Wait, so
Hector made a
what's
post.
Renzi gonna do now that he can't get Gun Devil?
What?
What?
He Denji can't go after the Gun Devil now, right?
I'm sure he's
No.
gonna go like
Yeah.
he's gonna go rogue or something.
He's gotta.
So I think our friend Hector, he made a post a little bit ago. This is like the best way. After the whole Darkness Devil fight, these next chapters are just character development, and
Yeah,
like,
because we needed that.
It's
'Cause
perfect.
we really need
Yeah.
something slow after that chapter.
yeah,
Jesus Christ.
it's fucking crazy. And like there
For a
was this
story, for a story about devils, it's becoming really human.
yeah,
That's
and
what
Mhm.
it is.
you were waiting to say that, but the
been
part
holding on
the
to
part
that
that I
for
love
some
so
time.
much is just like when Aki is like, oh, I want to pull my team out from this gun devil thing, and it's like why, and he just
I got
imagines
cold feet.
he imagines Denji and Power dead, and he just says, I got cold feet, and it's like damn, he's caring.
Soulful panel.
I was
He's
like
really,
saying
his
this.
is completely different to what he was at the
I
beginning.
was talking about this last week, but with every fucking chapter of Chainsaw Man that comes out, my workload for my stupid ass video essay fucking like triples because of how much shit like characterization they had to him.
Yeah. I love just like the last couple panels of Denji and Power. Denji just like his hand on his arm on her
Mhm.
shoulder. It's just so
Yeah.
cute.
And they just make it throw up. Like, yeah, it's funny, but at the same time,
Like-
they care about
Like
it.
yeah, now all three of us threw up
Yeah.
They're in it together, and that's
because Power threw up earlier in the chapter, and I guess with Denji they're talking about the like what are they talking about
Yes,
Denji? Because
because-
he fucking throws up a lot, I think.
Yeah. He I mean the best throw up that he had, they weren't even there for that, so
Yeah.
Are we ready to get on to the most based comic?
wait.
what,
you
Eight
read-
Gravity Boys?
No,
No,
Undead Unlock.
Oh yeah.
Oh my
And
god,
you-
dude, this
what the fuck
chapter
was that?
of Undead Unluck was fucking crazy.
Yeah.
What does galaxy mean?
Okay,
Okay.
because remember
First of all-
they say that there's no stars in the sky. So it's like,
Yeah.
what if so there was like, and since this is an Uma, that means that there was no concept of a galaxy in this world of Undead
Okay.
Unluck. That's fucking
Okay,
crazy.
First of all, Andy has to be like the fastest fucking reader
Yeah.
because she was knocked out for like a day tops, and he read like 101 volumes of a manga.
Literally
Wait,
longer
who
than
did?
One Piece.
And he
It was
loved
just
it.
it was just show your manga. Yeah, dude. If Andy can do it, you guys have no excuse for not reading One Piece.
Yeah. How did a shoujo manga go on for that long? Also,
I don't know.
Shoujo
I mean,
mangas are fucking long, dude.
yeah, Kaguya-sama is freaking like almost at 20 volumes right now, and it's still going.
Dude, okay, also, they unified all the world's languages and it defaulted to English. That's
Yeah.
based. That's
I wonder if that
based.
like is different in Japan. I wonder if like
I don't think so.
That's
No, I think it's still in I think it would still be English. Or
so
something.
that means wait, what if that means like by default Undead Unluck is in English for the rest of like its run?
in Japan.
Even in Japan,
the
yeah.
text is
Oh
all
my
English.
god, that'd be hilarious. I love that we get to see that like in action also.
Yeah.
So now we have a 12th
Everyone's like
seat. It's
shirts
gonna be,
changes like text.
Yeah.
We have a 12th seat now, meaning we have Unrepair, or we have well, we have Unrepair. There was Unburn, and then we also
Unburn.
cut to see this Unseen.
Yeah.
This this mysterious figure who's
I'm
captured.
super excited to see Unrepair because that is like the perfect counter to Andy.
Yeah.
I'm just excited to see Andy go to Brazil and see the women there, and see Fuku like start seething.
Oh yeah, he refers to her
In a
by her
moment.
name. Yeah.
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 This is a big chapter,
cute.
man. Like we're
Dude,
going
it's
to
like-
Brazil. We see
Come to
the
Brazil.
Unrepair, the Galaxy Uma. Oh my god, like just wild chapter. It just ever since the Apocalypse book was introduced,
Yeah.
this world has just become so distinct and interesting.
Dude, the Brazil shit isn't even gonna be for a fucking while because we're either gonna have to deal with Galaxy first.
Yeah.
They're just like when the Apocalypse book was introduced, everything you thought about Undead Unluck got thrown out
Yeah.
that
Oh
window.
yeah.
It is not coming back in.
Fucking a gag I really liked with this chapter was just him like head patting Fuku, and then when they go into the round table, one of the guys just casually says, "Why is your boyfriend on fire?" And he says, "Don't worry about it. That happens.
Yeah.
It's because of the unluck."
Yeah, I mean, just a great chapter. There's just so many great chapters this week, and especially Mashal, which apparently like people aren't liking that much on A. When I say fuck you,
Japan
'cause-
loves it, so
yeah, Mashal is
Okay.
fucking awesome, and this was one of the funniest fucking chapters, I think.
I want to talk about Mashal for a bit. Like, okay, when I was reading this week's chapter, so like when you read manga, like you might laugh, you might get a haha, you might get like a or like something like that. But this chapter was actually the hardest laughing fit I've ever had from a manga in my life. Just the scene where they're talking, and hold on, let me bring it up.
it's a
Okay.
Lantern Duo. I think that's the name.
Yeah, it says like we need to strategize ways to acquire coins, and he just says, "I need a girlfriend." That made me lose my fucking mind.
We also
I
get a
love
little bit of a design change for, I think his name's Duat. His hair's a lot less spiky. It's a little more rounded. I actually really like this design.
I like how he addresses that. He's like, what? Why is it so weird that for a guy to change his hairstyle?
Wait, so is this guy going to be Frankie? Is he going to be the Frankie? Is just his hairstyle's going to change every once in a while?
I hope so.
That'd be funny.
I really like this cast of characters they have for Mashal. I
They're
really
awesome. Yeah.
think this series is like looking so up. I have not said this now, but I seriously think Mashal might be my favorite series running in Shonen Jump right now.
It's so
of the
good.
new series.
Serious?
Of the new stuff. Of like all this.
Oh my gosh, do you really need to pick it up that much?
Yeah, dude, Mashal's fucking amazing.
Since I would say
It's great.
this is the first series since maybe Dr. Stone that has gotten me.
Chainsaw Man.
Oh, and Chainsaw Man. Yeah.
I'm so excited for each new Mashal chapter because it's just like
I
the first chapter is like kind of rough, but it really found its own identity. It's just
Chapter 3.
the whole
right
thing is it's just mogging Harry Potter, which is so funny, and it's just hilarious. It's just like Mash himself is so Chad.
Yeah.
I love what's that? He's saying something about pumping iron or something. Like he'll make reference like these mannequins are pumping iron or hey, what are you doing? The guy wakes up. He's like working on my exterior or whatever,
Yeah.
or like he bites his tongue, stuff
Oh
like that.
yeah, that was really funny. I
The
love
door,
also
the door gag is getting me too.
Yeah.
It's starting to finally, like,
I
sit
saw
in.
when he says these muscles will flex in the name of peace.
Name of peace.
Yeah,
Also, I
it's-
think like all the designs, like the scale or whatever, has a really cool design. Like Mashal's like,
Oh yeah.
like
yeah,
all these like,
Mashal can have like really good art when it tries to.
oh yeah, I really like at the end of the chapter we see these two guys coming up.
Those two dipshits.
It's like, did you know? Once time passes, it never returns. And the other guy who seems like just a big idiot
Says,
says,
like,
yes,
"Shut up,
everyone
dude."
knows that. Please stop talking. Make some profound statement. It wastes time.
That was so fucking funny, dude. Like I was actually like
Dude,
laughing
it's
out
like-
loud
like-
when that happened.
That's
I
me
think-
talking to an average Hunter x Hunter fan.
This might be the actual funniest chapter of Mashal.
Yeah.
That's like something that like I would write in like one of my stories. Like this humor is so like specific for me in Mashal, and it's such a joy to read this, and like I get it, and it's a shame that like a lot of American readers probably don't get it,
I don't
but
understand how. It's so like
it's just so fucking funny. Like
once the series comes west, I know the series is gonna stick around for a while. And like
I hope
once
so,
the west
man.
comes, I'm buying them. I'm buying them
Oh,
all.
yeah, the volume covers are beautiful in Japan, so
Yeah.
I'm excited.
So
Yeah, and then speaking of like great comedy, we just have like two great comedy chapters. So I guess you want to save A Gravity for last, so we'll talk about.
wait, Elvis, do you read Jujutsu Weekly, don't you?
I'm at like chapter 40 something of Jujutsu
Okay.
Kaisen.
We're gonna
Fuck,
need
you're ahead of me.
ding. Okay.
Yeah.
So okay,
Mitama?
we're all working.
Am I the farthest in Jujutsu right now?
Yeah.
You and I are around the same part.
I've just been busy.
Eric, what do you
I'm-
think of the business, man? I was waiting for you to get
This
to the
isn't the Bleach
business, man.
podcast, but I'm just gonna say this. I'm loving this arc right now. That's all I'm gonna say.
Of Mitama?
No, Bleach. It's not a Bleach episode. I'm just gonna go and say like I love the Soul Society.
Oh yeah, you're at the Kenpachi fight, aren't you?
I finished it. I finished that last
Kenpachi
night.
fight's amazing. All of Kenpachi's fights are like the best.
Okay, Mitama security. It's
Yeah.
good.
Speaking of like arcs, yeah, it's Mitama is like really reaching its like first big arc, and like a first like major villain too. And
Yeah.
people
I'm not
seem
caught up, so I can't talk.
people seem like they're kind of afraid that it's building up to an ending. I don't think so. Like,
It's
I
just a
hope
training
not.
arc.
Dude, okay, when it was revealed that he's been training by playing fucking basketball with
Basketball
polar bears,
with the polar bears and seals.
that was so funny. But there was actually like an absurd amount of text in this chapter.
Yeah.
It was like
Artisan
Yeah.
Hunter x Hunter levels of
Yeah,
text.
I was telling you guys this is like Hunter x Hunter levels of text in this fucking chapter.
Yeah, it was.
Some of the art felt a bit rough too, so I feel like maybe this was like maybe the artist is like saving up for like really good artwork later on or something. 'Cause this
hoping.
one felt a bit-
Because it seems like we're building up to something big, and
yeah,
that's all I really have to say about Mitama. It's just I'm in for the ride, you know.
just big.
All right. A Gravity.
Finally,
This joke has been building up for weeks now. They teased this chapter maybe like a month or two ago, and we're
Yeah.
finally seeing the conclusion of like the what's it called? Fucking catfish.
E-girl saga.
The catfish
Yeah.
arc.
The E-girl saga.
yeah, that's pretty much what this is, and like, let's just get it out of the way. Oh my god, homina, fucking massive milkers with like areolas probably the size of my fist. Oh my god.
Can you insert like a wolf howl like sound effect right here? Like the cartoon one?
This is like just insane. Like I how do you draw something just this fucking hot, man? Like
I don't know. This arc was really funny too. It was actually like
yeah, it was also
Dude,
really
freaking-
funny.
Fucking Grizzla walking on. We're dating now, and then his
Yeah.
clothes get torn off, and he just has
speaking
a.
of when she's watching the stream, when she is watching that stream and she sees Chris in the maid outfit,
Yeah.
her clothes.
Oh
God.
my god, yeah. That was nuts. I mean, like, I honestly really don't have much to say because I was just like homina the entire chapter. Like, but it actually is a really funny chapter, and I like what it's like building up to, the whole thing with
Dude.
Chris and this e-girl's like secret intentions. It's very interesting, and it feels like we're really
Chris
reaching
Love.
like we're really reaching kind of like the crux of this whole like kind of overplayed Chris looks like a girl arc.
Yeah.
Like I'm wondering,
Okay.
I keep wondering if like that potion from the first chapter is ever
Okay.
gonna come back, and I feel
What
like
if he drinks the potion and he looks like a guy? He's a girl, looks like a guy.
Oh
No,
no,
no.
dude! What if Monica? What if the girl drinks it and turns into a guy? And now they're like, "Fuck, we're back
no.
at step one."
No, please,
No.
no, don't do
Anything
that.
but that.
But yeah,
Please.
like not much to say about A Gravity, but it's just a hot fucking chapter.
Oh,
Yeah.
It's absolutely like 10 out of 10 design. Like
in
I feel like the mangaka was like holding back for so long because this series
Yeah.
is so guy centric, and then he
Yeah.
just went like all out.
He was
also,
building up the guy audience.
I guess another thing, none of us read it, but Yuna and the Haunted Hot Springs has ended this week. Congratulations! I
Yeah,
see
good
a
luck.
lot of people will
It's a
enjoy it.
pretty solid run. It's like
Yeah.
Yeah, I would like to
24
check it out.
volumes. It's pretty solid. Yeah,
The
24
art-
volumes, that's solid. It's
women-
pretty solid for yeah.
I'm surprised that it's not in the
It's because Viz doesn't do the translations. They never got the rights to it.
Best
What
of
a
luck
shame.
to you.
Maybe I'll check out fan
Yeah.
translations or something.
Yeah.
Mr. or
And-
Mrs. Haunted Hot Springs, good luck to you in your adventures.
And we'll see you probably. I wouldn't be surprised if we see him again soon. Usually.
Yeah. Also,
Yeah.
it is Hirohiko Araki's birthday.
Happy birthday.
Yesterday.
Well, yeah,
Hirohiko.
yesterday/today. It's time zone
Oh.
fuckery. But
Okay.
'cause, you know,
Wow, he's 60 years old.
60 years old.
He's gonna keep going. He's
Can't
gonna
believe it. Wow.
Yeah, it's bravo, man. Like
I still can't believe he's 60 years old. Wow.
and you know, okay,
And what have you done with your life?
yeah, Arda, Clayton, I know you guys want to talk about Parasite in Inuyashiki, but I think
No, we're not.
this
We won't.
episode is like
Yeah,
pretty
we
long.
still got to do Attack on Titan.
Oh my
We have,
god,
like,
I
3
completely
hours of
forgot about
talk.
Attack on Titan, but I wanted to save this for the end, but I guess we can just get out of the way now. Like, just like share like an appreciation for Hirohiko Araki. Man, you
Yeah.
are just an absolute legend.
You are the man.
You are the guy. You are probably the greatest mangaka like in history.
Yeah.
I'm just filled with nothing but like absolute respect for you. And I know you're not gonna listen to this, but like
If he
thank
does.
just like thank you for what you do, because like JoJo really is what got me into like battle shonen. I thought it was just
Same.
like so stupid and like pointless like crap before JoJo, and like
Without JoJo, I would not have read One Piece.
exactly, yeah, and like yeah, I keep saying like I kind of like One Piece more than JoJo, besides obviously like JoJo
Oh yeah,
Onion,
yeah.
but like JoJo's still like at the top for me, just
It's
because of like
important to me.
the importance, yeah, is so like unbelievable. Like how much
Honestly, like,
that he and his work have just not only JoJo but like Bao and Gorgeous Irene and all this other stuff, like how much that they've like impacted me and kind of the way that I create stories that I want to like tell. Just thank you, man. Like God
Oh.
bless. I hope you keep going as long as you fucking can, man. Like
We could talk
It's-
JoJo all
I know
day.
it's kind of like iffy and like dumb to say this type of thing, but like just everything that JoJo introduced me to and like the people and experiences I've had because of it, like that shit is, it's changed my fucking life, dude.
oh, absolutely,
yeah.
me too.
Yeah.
The JoJo community back when it was, good.
Yeah.
I've met so
Back
many.
before part
I've
4
met
was
s-
animated. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Those were the days. Those were the
Yeah,
days.
I remember even when part 3 was animated, the fan base wasn't that bad. I remember like Friday posting all the time with
Oh
JoJo.
my god,
like,
JoJo Fridays.
Yeah,
We
JoJo
can
Friday.
still do that. We still sometimes do
Yeah,
that.
but it's not the same now.
I
Like,
know.
it really isn't. And like despite that, I've known so many people that like stopped caring about JoJo because of that. And that will never fucking happen to me. I'm with JoJo to the day I fucking die.
Yeah,
man.
to the day I fucking die.
Until
Yeah.
my day, my spirit leaves
Well,
my
Rocky.
body, and I do the Arrivederci. Freaking
Yeah.
my ghost.
And okay, I guess like the final thing on the agenda for today is
That's the one
the next
review.
4 weeks. No, the next 4 weeks we're going to be getting 4 new series.
Yeah, we're not going
And
to talk
we're
about too
gonna
much
talk
until 2 of them I know are Shonen Jump pros. The creator of
about
Black Cat
Televeru.
and
Oh
Televeru.
shit,
Televeru?
Black Cat, really?
That
Oh,
guy.
dude,
He's
no
the first.
way.
He's the first next week.
Yeah,
Oh,
That's the one for next
I'm
week.
so excited.
and
for that.
then 2 weeks after that we're getting one by the author of Beelzebub, which I still
Oh
need to read.
shit.
Yeah, and
And
then
I just
2
wanna-
other series. I don't
No,
remember.
just when you guys and okay, I just want to say real quick, the one by the Beelzebub guy. Upon further inspection, I think the protagonist is supposed to be a police officer. So I'm curious
Uh-oh.
if Viz Media is even going to like publish that like weekly.
Hey, by
There's
the
a lot
way,
of there's a lot of police related shit this week just in
completely
manga.
completely unrelated, but everyone should check out the OVA Mad Bull 34. The greatest buddy cop story of all time.
I'll check that out. But
Can I
It's like-
plug something real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
I encourage every youngster to read Record of Ragnarok. It is
I'm
one of
committed.
the best battle seinen I have ever read. Like every chapter has this insane art, insane concept, man versus god. It's great.
Is
It
it like
looks
Norse
really tight.
mythology?
It's basically like 13 of mankind's greatest warriors fight 13 gods to
Yeah.
save mankind, and there's like
Yeah. So there's
Jack
like
the
Zeus,
Ripper.
there's also,
What's
like,
it called?
Ragnarok.
What's the series called exactly?
Nicola
Record of
Tesla,
Ragnarok.
Oh, thank you.
King Leonidas. It's insane.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds pretty based.
It's the one I've been chilling to you, Eric, dude. They had
Yeah.
Hercules fought Jack the Ripper, and it's like this
That reminds
insane
me of
mind game.
Drifters.
Yeah, it's great.
Speaking of based, there's still Attack on Titan.
Yeah.
A lot of action in this chapter.
Yeah,
Mhm.
this was I really like this chapter. I saw some people complaining online because we finally get to see Falcon's Titan. Some people
Looks like
really
Big
don't
Bird.
like it. I liked it. I thought it was
I
cool
liked it.
because
Yeah,
I
it's
mean
cool.
it was
It's
very
different.
it's clearly it was, Isayama trying to do something different with a Titan. Now we have a bird Titan. I do kind of think he could have committed more to that angle. But I like the talons. I do think the face is kind of weird when it doesn't have its mouth open, but it's the jaw Titan, so it's gonna have its mouth open a lot. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean this was a pretty big chapter. Like I think this chapter I will like what happens in it a lot more like animated, I think.
Yeah.
Like don't get me wrong, I did really like this chapter, but again, because it's so action heavy, I really don't have much to say.
It was just cool. It was nice.
But
Yeah.
I
It's
guess
nice to finally read
the
Attack
big
on
part of
Titan
the
again.
chapter is its ending. We finally get to see Keith and who's the other guy?
Yes, that
Their
was
arcs are done.
that was
Their
an
characters.
incredible scene,
Yeah.
and
Fantastic.
it's so like it just reminds me of like Lord of the Rings. Never thought I'd fight side by side with X. How about
Yeah.
fighting side by side with a Y? Oh, I can do that. That was
Yeah.
very much so in that sense,
That was
and
nice.
yeah, it was. Yeah,
Good.
I mean, good chapter. Thank you,
Yeah.
Isayama. Apparently,
Uh,
I still think Attack on Titan has like maybe 7 chapters left.
6, 7. Yeah, that's what I
Yeah,
was.
Yeah.
so we
We'll be
just have to.
done. We'll be done by the end of the year. I think.
Yeah.
We'll at least be
Yeah.
done by December.
There was a. It was a good week. It was a good week.
Yeah, a lot to say.
There was a lot of hype shit. There was
Great week.
a lot of
Hold on.
really nice women.
I got a little distracted right now because my Tokyo Godfathers Blu-ray finally came in. It came out
Oh,
thanks to G Kids
Hey.
and Shout Factory. I'm super excited because now I own every Satoshi Kon film on Blu-ray.
Nice.
that's the only one I've seen. I need to fucking watch some of the other
Oh
ones.
my god, dude! Like, I love this movie. I love this movie to death, and it's still my least favorite Satoshi Kon. And like even
Really?
then, it's like a 9 out of 10. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's fucking phenomenal.
Yeah.
Okay, but yeah, there was it was good laughs this week, good action, good
Make you
emotional
laugh,
scenes,
make you
good
cry.
women.
Yeah, and I
There was
mean
a lot
like.
of, there was a lot of police this week too.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, like, I wanted to kind of address that, like, yeah, okay, we might not be living in like the best time for many things. There's a lot of hurt
at
in
least
the
we have
world.
this shit. You know?
Yeah, there's a lot of hurt in the world, but we have whether it's manga, whether it's like any other media that you kind of turn to during a time
That's
like
what
this.
dumb, like, mindless entertainment is for.
Yeah, I mean, like a lot of shonen can be considered dumb, mindless entertainment, but then there's these series that, look at what we're getting out of. Look at fucking Attack on Titan. Look at One Piece. Look at
Yeah.
I know this isn't shonen, but look at Alita. Like you have these like series that are very, very deeply political that really do reflect a lot of the tensions and
But they're
beliefs.
timeless, you know.
Yeah, they're super
Yeah.
timeless because they, there's certain things, that are always going to repeat in history and obviously then it repeats in fiction
Yeah.
that, to this day, anime is one of the most unfairly ridiculed mediums like ever. And
Yeah, anime
Yeah.
and manga.
And
yeah,
I guess
Like,
just
you can have an anime profile picture because you really like this character and you really like.
and,
It's like,
I
oh,
guess
your opinion is invalid.
yeah.
I guess just to like wrap things up, I want to tell about this nice little discovery we made. Me, Eric, and Clayton made a few days ago of the merchandising on the Crunchyroll store and how there's a
Oh
there's
my
a shirt
god.
with
Yeah.
with the My
Oh,
Hero
yeah.
Academia logo on it. That it says like My Police Academia, and it's been and like not only is it still in stock,
It's on sale.
It was on sale for 75%.
It was $5. Is it still on sale?
Yeah.
Probably.
Let me check. Let me check.
Eric, if you buy that, you're officially deep state.
I want to buy that and like wear it to the next anime convention. Apparently though, it's a reference to some like Rocket Jump series on Crunchyroll. So then
Yeah,
Really?
that makes it less funny, but it's still, I mean, it's a shirt that says My Police Academia
I
that's
know.
sold on
Yeah.
And
Crunchyroll.
another shout out to
It's
Crunchyroll's
still right
merchandising because
Oh, yeah.
Crunchyroll's merchandising
Crunchyroll's
is
merchandise
amazing.
is drip.
It's still on sale.
Okay, you know what? I might buy it. Crunchyroll,
They have
please.
to know.
Crunchyroll, please support us. Please give us
Some
please please give me the Reagan statue from Mob Psycho 100 because I forgot to pre-order that and it looks
Crunchyroll,
sick.
if you're
Reagan
like
statue?
listening to this,
Yeah, you didn't see the
John
Reagan statue?
Crunchyroll-
no.
Oh my god, dude,
Yeah.
the pre-order's closed.
Oh yo.
Yeah.
John Crunchyroll, if you're listening to this podcast, just please know that I've been defending you for years
Yeah.
now.
Crunchyroll, like you're really doing like great work,
Yeah.
better than fucking
You're one of the
Funimation.
good ones.
Wait,
You're one of the
100
good ones.
Wait, $100 for the statue? Is that it?
Yeah.
Oh wait, Big Bad Toy Store still has it, I think.
Ooh. Okay. Maybe I'll
I'll
get it.
I'll post it in the
But yeah, thank you Crunchyroll. Thank you for giving us Drip. Thank you for giving us, all of Loop on the 3rd for streaming. That's a huge fucking deal.
also and City Hunter.
And City
Yeah.
Hunter recently, yeah.
That's another thing we've been doing. Me, Clan, and our friend Gael have been like still getting through City Hunter.
Mhm.
It's based. It's awesome.
Also,
Yeah.
Crunchyroll, if you want to support me, please send me the Kuwabara hoodie. I am a size.
The Kuwabara hoodie is drip.
I am a
need
size
the-
large or extra
please.
large. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Please and thank you.
A size extra large Kuwabara hoodie. Same with the Nico Robin hoodie, the green one. That one's tight.
That one's really good.
Also,
too.
send me the Asian chick you had in some of those clothing. She is really really pretty. Thank you.
Well, now we're definitely not
model?
getting sponsored.
I said
Yeah.
I said she's pretty. I didn't say anything else like that.
All right.
Yeah.
Well,
Send me
that,
the deets.
that
Crunchyroll.
does it for this week. Signing
Yeah.
out. We'll probably have to pick a different name because Alita will not be relevant to the next
No.
episode. Even though
By
in a
next week,
perfect world it would. Hey, you know what?
It would,
Maybe
yeah.
we'll bring this name back if we do Last Order.
There we
Yeah.
go.
Yep.
I'd be
Battle
down for
Manga
that.
Let's
Motorcast.
have Colin name it next week.
Oh yeah, Colin's gonna be on next week, and
Yeah, it's
we
history.
will not be covering Bleach next week. We have decided we're gonna push that to 2 weeks so we can talk about the entire Soul Society arc.
All of this Soul Society, yeah.
So stay tuned for that.
And you know what? I have just some bit of a shilling real quick. I'm like working on something right now, so I think I'll talk about Parasite next week because I need to like just talk about something regarding Parasite.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. And that's about it. Stay frosty. I don't know
Bye-bye.
why I said that. That was
Alright.
forced. I'm gonna
Catch
go.
you guys later.
Gonna go give myself 40 lashes now.